Chapter 984. It's very simple. We just need to perform dual cultivation. I'll tell you what to do later. Follow me. Xiaofan took Linger's hand and led her to the bed. Then, he explained the steps of dual cultivation to her. In the beginning, Linger was still a little shy. Although she and Xiaofan had sex, they hadn't seen each other for a long time, so she was still a little shy. She had been very careful and not used to it. Xiaofan smiled and didn't expose her. Instead, he took the initiative to chat with Linger. On the one hand, he wanted to distract her and make her more relaxed. On the other hand, he wanted to know why Xiaofan needed so many spirit jades. However, what surprised Xiaofan was that Linger didn't know anything about the inside story of the spirit jades. After thinking for a while, Xiaofan guessed that the Yun sect deliberately hid the truth from her and Grandma Nanshan in order not to alert the enemy. They were doing everything behind their backs. Guessing this, Xiaofan didn't ask any more questions. Seeing that Linger's mood had relaxed, he began to concentrate on the dual cultivation. Smiling Maitreya crawled back to his residence, packed his luggage, called his disciples, and left the Green Rock sect quietly in the dark. Since Linger had helped Xiaofan this time, smiling Maitreya was relieved. When Xiaofan saw Linger, it was as if he had been holding back his hunger for several years. He didn't know what the girls around him were. Were they all his sisters? However, smiling Maitreya was too lazy to think so much. Anyway, Xiaofan and Linger must be doing that, so they didn't have the time to care about him. So, he took his disciples and directly escaped from the main gate, running to the foot of the mountain. Finally, they arrived at the foot of Green Rock Mountain. Seeing the minibus parked on the side, smiling Maitreya took a long breath. He was glad that he had finally succeeded in escaping from Xiaofan's clutches. In the future, even if he had 800 times more courage, he would never want to meet Xiaofan again. Oh. You're running pretty fast, huh? If I didn't have my flying sword, I'm afraid this young master wouldn't be able to catch up to you. Smiling Maitreya was still secretly rejoicing. Unexpectedly, a nightmarish voice suddenly sounded. Xiaofan directly descended from the sky and grabbed his neck. His fingers squeezed slightly. Ah! It hurts so much. Cough, cough. Great hero Xiaofan, please spare my life. I just brought my men out to hunt some wild animals, look at the scenery, breathe in the fresh air, and move my muscles. I didn't want to run away. The smiling Maitreya screamed and was scared out of his wits. He tried to explain. While explaining, the smiling Maitreya grimaced in pain. Xiaofan's hand was like an iron hoop that was strangling his neck. He felt that if he used a little more strength, his cervical vertebrae would be broken. Xiaofan slightly loosened his grip, but he still firmly grabbed the smiling Maitreya's neck. After promoting Linger to the level of a martial general through dual cultivation, he let her rest in the room for a while. He planned to find the smiling Maitreya for information, but he found that the kid had slipped away. Xiaofan quickly rode on his flying sword and chased after him. In the end, he saw the smiling Maitreya and his men resting at the foot of the mountain. He did not waste any time and directly went up to him to grab his neck. Alright, don't play the coward in front of me. Hurry up and tell me why you came to the Greenstone faction, and why does the Yun sect need so many spiritual jades? Xiaofan was too lazy to talk nonsense with the smiling Maitreya, so he said directly, maybe I'll let you go because your knife-shaved noodles are delicious. Otherwise, I'll take you to the top of the mountain to enjoy the scenery, do you believe me? The air at the top of the mountain is very fresh. Xiao. Great hero Xiaofan, I really came here to help Xiaofan get the spiritual jades. I have no other purpose. As for what the Yun sect needs them for, I really don't know. The smiling Maitreya said tremblingly. Although he was so scared that he almost wet his pants, he still did not dare to tell the truth, for fear that Xiaofan would send people to kill him as soon as he returned. Are you sure you don't know? Xiao Chen's tone was dangerous, and he squinted his eyes and asked again. The smiling Maitreya said with a sad face, "Great hero Xiao Chen, everything I said is true. Just treat me like a fart and let me go. Motherf **Ker, I think you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin." Xiao Chen snorted coldly, grabbed the smiling Maitreya, and jumped on the flying sword. He flew directly to the sky more than 2,000 meters high, and said slowly, "Enjoy the scenery here. I'll give you one more chance. If you still refuse to tell me, I'll let you perform a flying noodle shaving in the air. It'll be very spectacular." "Ah. The smiling Maitreya was lifted by Xiao Chen, and his feet were in the air. He looked around, only to see misty clouds and a dark night sky. He could not see anything else. He was so scared that he screamed, and his soul almost flew away. "Hurry up. I'll give you 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2. Xiao Chen began to count. The smiling Maitreya was about to confess, but on second thought, he knew that Xiao Chen was so eager to know Xiaofan's purpose that he would not let him go easily. He was just trying to scare him, so he gritted his teeth and said, "I really don't know. How could Xiaofan tell me so much? I just... 1, 0. Xiao Chen had already lost his patience. Seeing the smiling Maitreya still dared to beat around the bush, he directly loosened his hand and threw him straight down from the sky. "Help! Help!" The smiling Maitreya's ears were filled with the whistling sound of the wind. He was immediately frightened and shouted loudly. "A friendly reminder. You're still 1,500 meters away from the ground. You'll be able to land smoothly in no time. Please fasten your seatbelt. If you don't, please be prepared to have your face smashed into the ground," Xiao Chen said slowly as he followed the smiling Maitreya on his flying sword. "Master Xiao Chen, help! Help me!" The smiling Maitreya danced in the air, trying to catch Xiao Chen's flying sword, but because his hands were too short, he could not reach it. "I'll remind you again. You're only 800 meters away from the ground. 700 meters. 600 meters. Xiao Chen picked his ears in boredom. He ignored the smiling Maitreya's cry for help and continued counting down. "I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. Please help me. I promise I won't lie to you anymore." Sob, sob, sob. The smiling Maitreya saw the ground getting closer and closer in his eyes. Finally, he could not help shouting loudly. His tears and snot were floating in the air. Now he could not care so much. He just wanted to save his life first. "That's more like it. What were you doing earlier?" Just when the bald head of the smiling Maitreya was about to touch the ground, Xiao Chen reached out, grabbed his calf, and then threw him to the ground. Chapter 985. The smiling Maitreya had not come to himself yet. He was panting in fear. His face was covered with tears and snot, which made him look very embarrassed. Xiao Chen looked at him and said calmly, "Tell me now. If I find out that you still dare to lie, I will take you up there to play flying noodles again for free. But I can't guarantee that I will be able to catch you next time. Xiaofan wants those spiritual jades to open the venerable mysterious land of the inner martial arts world. The venerable mysterious land is prepared for martial kings and demon kings to become venerables. Every sect decides how many disciples can enter according to the amount of spiritual jades they contribute." The smiling Maitreya did not dare to hesitate. He told Su Ke everything he knew. "Oh? Why did you come to the Green Rock sect to rob the spiritual jades?" Xiao Chen asked coldly. Wiping the tears and snot off his face, the smiling Maitreya said cautiously, "The Yinyun sect doesn't have many spiritual jades. They heard that the Green Rock sect has found a spiritual jade mine, so they sent me to rob it, that's all." Xiao Chen squinted at the smiling Maitreya and continued to ask, Where is the entrance to the venerable mysterious land? How many spiritual jades do I need to pay for one person to enter? Are there any traps or anything like that? I really don't know about that. I'm just a small fry in the outer martial arts world. I'm just running errands for Xiaofan. I don't have access to the core secrets. Even if I successfully rob the spiritual jades, I won't be able to enter the venerable mysterious land. The smiling Maitreya said bitterly. Xiaofan felt that the smiling Maitreya was telling the truth this time. However, he did not let him go immediately. Instead, he remained silent. He suddenly thought of the sky jade mine of the Jia family. Could it be that it was also prepared for the opening of the venerable mysterious land? Hero Xiaofan, I beg you to let me off. I was also forced into a corner. Even what I said just now was something that I managed to find out with great difficulty a few days ago. Seeing that Xiaofan did not say anything, the smiling Maitreya's heart was pounding. He felt that this trip was not worth it. Not only did he not get any benefits, but he also almost lost his life. Okay, I believe you. Seeing that your knife-shaved noodles are quite delicious, I won't kill you. In the future, when I become successful and return to the city, you can go sell breakfast with me. Xiaofan pulled smiling Maitreya up, patted him on the shoulder, and said with a smile, you can go now. I'll let you know when my breakfast stall opens for business. Alright. Thank you, Hero Xiaofan, for not killing me. I'll take my leave now. The smiling Maitreya was so moved that he almost cried. He nodded repeatedly and thanked Xiaofan. When he saw that Xiaofan had no other orders, he ran away with his subordinates. After returning to the place where the minibus was parked, smiling Maitreya called Xiaofan and reported the current situation to him. He told Xiaofan that Linger had hooked up with Xiaofan, but they had just succeeded, so they didn't know whether it would work or not. Xiaofan had already escaped, so he could only rely on her. In the end, smiling Maitreya naturally concealed the matter of informant. His life had just been saved, so if he told Xiaofan about it, he would be in danger again. Xiaofan understood the situation, but he didn't say anything special. He just promised to give smiling Maitreya some compensation and then hung up the phone. First, since smiling Maitreya had escaped, Xiaofan couldn't talk to him anymore. Second, Xiaofan didn't have much hope for Linger. Although the forging materials he got before were reliable, the spiritual jades didn't belong to Xiaofan, but to Greenrock faction, so it would be difficult to get them. After putting down the phone, Xiaofan was extremely upset. This time, he really suffered a double loss. He didn't get the spiritual jades, but he also lost 3 masters. Xiaofan let smiling Maitreya go and returned to Greenrock faction. When he opened the door, Linger was already dressed and sitting there. Seeing Xiaofan coming back, she quickly stood up with a blush on her cheeks and whispered, "You're back." I just adjusted my breath and found that I've been promoted to a general. What the hell is going on? This is the benefit of dual cultivation. In the future, I will often take you to practice with me, and your strength will also rise. Xiaofan laughed, took her hand and walked out. Let's go, I'll introduce you to the others, and they will all be your friends in the future. Xiaofan dragged Linger to the guest room. As expected, other than Jia Muzan, who was not present, the other 3 ladies were chatting away. Although their ways of doing things were very different, they were all young ladies in their teens and 20s, so they got along very well when they chatted. You haven't slept yet, have you? Let me introduce you, this is Miss Linger of the Yinyun faction. I met her during the process of carrying out the task, at that time. Xiaofan walked over casually, introduced Linger, and then briefly described the process of meeting her. All the girls looked at Linger curiously. Although Xiaofan didn't explain the situation in detail, at this time, Linger's face was blushing, so their relationship was probably not ordinary. The first time she saw Linger, Ling Qianxue was stunned. She felt so familiar. She looked so similar to her younger sister Qianxue from Japan. Ling'er didn't notice the change in Ling Qianxue. She just obediently followed beside Xiao Chen, and politely greeted everyone. Cheng Menjing secretly frowned. She first kindly introduced herself to Ling'er, and then when she wasn't paying attention, she unhappily glared at Xiao Chen. Due to the large number of people present, she didn't scold Xiao Chen. She more or less gave him some face, or else she would seem too petty. Although Cheng Menjing was unhappy, she endured it. After all, at the end of the day, it was because she didn't see that Xiao Chen had potential. If she had been with him when he was still a useless person, then there probably wouldn't have been such a mess later on. Now, she could only accept it. Cheng Menjing learned to comfort herself. After all, Xiao Chen wasn't the kind of playboy who would deliberately have a foot in two boats. After all, the women who followed him didn't have bad intentions, so it was more or less understandable. He also wouldn't dump them after he was done with them. Compared to those scumbags, he was much better. Ha ha ha, that's great. Sister Sour Sour has finally met someone younger than me. Tian Sour shook Ling'er's hand in high spirits, and proudly patted her shoulder. You're Ling'er, right? Remember, from now on, I'm the first branch. Oh no, the third branch. That doesn't seem right. Anyway, I'm Auntie X, and you're X1's little wife. You have to listen to me, okay? Tian Sour originally wanted to say the first branch, but seeing that Cheng Menjing was standing at the side, he quickly changed his words. Ling'er opened her mouth, but didn't say anything for a long time. She really didn't know what to say. Chapter 986. Ling'er, ignore that greedy girl. She just likes to take advantage of you verbally. She doesn't have any bad intentions. Ling Qianxue stood up and walked over to hold Ling'er's hand. She smiled and said, "Hello, my name is Ling Qianxue. Have you heard of my name before?" Just now, Ling Qianxue had been observing Ling'er's appearance. The more she looked, the more familiar she felt. Although Ling'er's appearance and temperament were very different from her sister Qianxue, Ling Qianxue could still find similarities between them. "Hello, Ling Qianxue." Ling'er repeated Ling Qianxue's name. She felt as if she had heard it somewhere before, but she couldn't remember. She could only shake her head helplessly. "Sorry, I don't remember. Then do you know your own background?" Ling Qianxue saw that Ling'er was a little surprised and said in a gentle tone, "Don't think too much. Since you are Xiao Chen's friend, you are also our friend. I might know some things about your background." "Ah. Really?" Ling'er was shocked. She turned to look at Xiao Chen for help. When she saw Xiao Chen nod, she gathered her courage and said, "Actually, I don't know much about my background. I only know that I have a grandfather who works in a secret organization. I also have a sister. As for the rest, I don't know." This information was all told to her by Ling'er's master, Granny Nanshan. However, she had only unintentionally revealed some information and didn't go into detail. Thus, Ling'er didn't know much. Ling Qianxue was shocked. She knew that she had found the right person this time. Ling'er was the Japanese girl that was switched by the Sakura group. At this moment, everyone's hearts were filled with mixed feelings. They didn't expect to find the person that everyone had been guessing for so long was Ling'er. "You guys, what's wrong? Is there a problem with my background?" Ling'er realized that everyone was silent and had different expressions. She felt a little uneasy. "Let me explain. Your grandfather is called Ling Tian, but in reality, he isn't your biological grandfather. Your real identity is Japanese. Your parents are researchers working for the Sakura group. You do have a sister, but her name is Ling Qianxue." Ling Qianxue tried to explain as simply as possible. What? What do you mean?" Ling'er was confused by the huge amount of information. Actually, I'm Ling Tian's granddaughter. However, when I was young, I was sent to the Yinyan sect. You and I were secretly swapped by the Cherry Blossom group. You went to the Yinyan sect and became their disciple, while I was sent to Japan, Ling Qianxue explained patiently. How is this possible? Ling mumbled to herself for a while before asking suspiciously, then why are you also called by this name? You and my sister have the same name? Or are you my sister? Ling Qianxue said, this is another matter. At that time, in order to protect Qianxue, I replaced her and joined the Sakura group, so I used her name. But I've never heard of this at all. Ling was really confused this time. Why did the Sakura group do this? What's in it for them? Ling Qianxue said calmly, the Sakura group wanted to plant a chess piece in the sects of the inner martial arts world. It will definitely be useful in the future. Ling didn't say anything for a long time. She was really too shocked. She had been cultivating in the Yinyan sect since she was young and then became a disciple of Granny Nanshan. She originally didn't know much about her background. Now that such a complicated relationship had suddenly appeared, she really couldn't digest it for a while. However, looking at Ling Qianxue's expression, it didn't seem like she was lying, so she didn't say anything for a long time. You don't have to be too nervous. We can go do a DNA test. You'll understand when the time comes. Ling Qianxue felt that Ling's shocked reaction was very normal. When Yorishima Kikuo told her about her true identity, she also found it hard to accept. Ling Qianxue didn't lie. Her DNA test was personally done by Chief Ling, and it was repeatedly tested several times. There's definitely no mistake. Xiao Chen gently patted Ling's shoulder and comforted her softly. After a while, Ling finally calmed down a little and asked, so, my biological sister is actually that island country's? Ling Qianxue? Yes, but I heard that she also came to the Xia kingdom. I don't know where she is now. Ling Qianxue nodded and said, I don't know if you've heard of Ling Qianyu's name. Actually, I'm her biological sister. Ling Qianyu. I've heard Granny mention her before. Ling sighed melancholically. Sigh, unfortunately, I've only heard of her and have never met her. If there's a chance, I really want to meet both of them. Ling never thought that her life would be so complicated. If she didn't meet Xiao Chen and Ling Qianxue, she would probably be kept in the dark for the rest of her life. Actually, just hearing Ling Qianxue's words, Ling still found it a little hard to accept. However, she trusted Xiao Chen. If Xiao Chen said it was like this, then it must be like this. Thus, Ling's heart was slightly shaken. She really wanted to meet her biological sister Ling Qianxue and fake sister Ling Qianyu as soon as possible. It would be best if she could find Ling Tian as well. Only then would she be able to understand everything. You don't have to be too anxious. Since the Sakura group has made such an arrangement, they must have a backup plan. Let's be a little more patient. It's better to stay calm and deal with all the changes. Xiao Chen thought for a while and spoke up to stop Ling. It wasn't that he didn't want Ling to reunite with her family as soon as possible, but he felt that there was something strange about this matter. That group of people from the Sakura group, with Yorishima Kikuo as an example, although they weren't very strong, they were good at scheming and scheming. Xiao Chen felt that if they acted rashly, it might have the opposite effect. They might as well wait for them to find Ling and walk into the trap of their own accord. It wouldn't be too late to find out their motive then. All right. I'll listen to you. Ling knew what Xiao Chen meant, so she immediately agreed. However, she was still at a loss for what to do in the face of such a sudden change. She sat there and chatted idly. There were a few times when she was lost in thought. She didn't even respond when others called her. Seeing that Ling was distracted, Xiao Chen stopped chatting and called out to the girls to cultivate. Due to Ling Er's addition, the original 4th cultivator of true virtue had been promoted to 5th cultivator of true virtue. The bed in the room wasn't big enough, so they sat on the floor and cultivated without any hindrance. After cultivating for half the night, everyone stopped to rest. After checking their cultivation, they discovered that the 4 girls were advancing at an extremely fast speed. However, Xiaofan was very upset because his own cultivation speed had slowed down again. Chapter 987. He pondered for a moment and realized that there seemed to be only one reason. The first time a girl used dual cultivation, they would level up faster. After that, the effect would not be as obvious. What was going on? Unable to think of an answer, Xiaofan gave up. Seeing that Ling Er was still in a daze, he gave Ling Qianxue a look and pulled her over for a hug. Ling Qianxue understood Xiaofan's look. At first, she was a little embarrassed, but seeing Ling Er's pitiful look, she felt a little sorry for her and moved closer. The Ling sisters, who had a complicated relationship, were a little shy at first, but then they relaxed and the room was full of charm. Humph. Cheng Menjing originally planned to meditate at the side, but after listening for a while, she finally could not take it anymore. She pulled Tian Souring, whose face was as red as an apple, put on their clothes and went out for some fresh air. Along the way, Cheng Menjing pouted and kept kicking the stones on the ground with her head down. She kept humming like a little pig. Sister Menjing, just now, why didn't you join in? Don't you like to do that with Xiaofan? Tian Souring couldn't help but ask after enduring for a while. She was a little depressed. Just now, she was teased by Xiaofan and the Ling sisters. She wanted to take the opportunity to join in, but just as she was about to pounce on him, Cheng Menjing pulled her away. "Tsk, I don't want that. If you want to join, then join." "What a mess, what's this?" Cheng Menjing glared at Tian Souring. It wasn't that she didn't want something to happen with Xiaofan, but she couldn't let go in front of so many people. She felt that she was different from others. She was Xiaofan's official fiancée. Even if she gave herself up, it had to be under the premise that the two of them were in a romantic atmosphere. How could she roll in the sheets with a bunch of people? Really? Can Sister Souring go? Tian Suruan immediately stopped and blurted out in surprise. He secretly licked his lips and wanted to turn around and run back, but he felt a little conflicted. In fact, apart from watching a few movies, she had no experience in this aspect. However, in the past, she had pretended to know everything in front of Xiaofan. If she went just like that, what if Xiaofan laughed at her? Looking at Tian Suruan's surprised and excited look, Cheng Menjing, who was originally angry, was amused. She rolled her eyes at her and said, "If you want to go, then go. Why are you asking me? Anyway, I'm not going." This. Tian Wangchuan struggled in his heart. He wanted to go, but he was too embarrassed to do so. He paced in place for more than 30 times and hesitated for a long time. In the end, he still didn't take that step. At the side, Cheng Menjing could see that Tian Wangchuan was similar to herself. They were both cowards who had evil intentions but no guts. She couldn't help but feel angry and amused. She simply dragged her to continue walking around the Green Rock sect. The next morning, Xiaofan went to find Gu Chongyi and Zheng Xinxiang in high spirits to say goodbye. He and his group had rested in the Green Rock sect for some time and the problems had been solved. He also wanted to go to the Heavenly Jade Mine as soon as possible. When saying goodbye, Xiaofan specially asked Zheng Xinxiang and Gu Chongyi. In the end, both of them didn't know where the entrance to the inner martial arts world was. However, Xiaofan didn't take it to heart. In any case, Jia Muzan and Ling Er both came from the inner martial arts world. They definitely knew the way. Therefore, he left the Green Rock sect confidently and set off for the inner martial arts world according to Jia Muzan's directions. After crossing the Green Rock Mountain, the the road ahead gradually became more difficult to walk. The group walked for 2 days, passed through a primeval forest, and finally arrived at a valley. The valley was shrouded in thick fog for a long time. The satellite map couldn't detect the environment here at all. After a few steps, they would be surrounded by fog. Even if they held hands, they couldn't see each other clearly. There was no signal on their mobile phones, so the visibility was extremely low. Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing were fine with it. Both of them were cultivators. As long as they released their divine sense, they would be able to see everything clearly. However, it was not the case for the others. They could only be careful and walk on the mountain path where the visibility was less than 3 meters like blind people. There were a few times when Tian Wangchuan missed a step and almost fell. Fortunately, Xiao Chen was quick to catch her. "Oh my, what the hell is this place? Sister Wangchuan's legs are about to break from walking. How much longer will it take to reach the inner martial arts world?" Tian Wangchuan couldn't help but complain after she slipped again. Although her strength had improved after this period of dual cultivation and she was no longer the rookie martial artist level 1, she couldn't keep up with the stamina of Xiao Chen and the others. In this kind of environment, she didn't dare to go on a rampage. She had long been stifled. "Everyone, take a break and eat something to replenish your energy." Xiao Chen squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. He discovered that there were 2 forks in the road ahead. He didn't know which one to take, so he turned around and asked Jia Muzhen, "Mu Sen, take a look. There are 2 roads over there. Which one leads to the Jia clan?" Jia Muzhen took 2 steps forward and looked carefully. He was a little dumbfounded. He scratched his head and said, "I don't know. Previously, when I came out, I was accompanied by an elder. However, when I wanted to go back in, I didn't know how to go. Moreover, I've been living in the secular world all these years. I've never thought of returning to the Jia clan, so my memory is even more unclear." "Is that so? It's okay. Fortunately, I brought a substitute." Xiao Chen didn't care too much. He gestured to Ling and gave her an introduction. "Student Ling please make your entrance." Deng 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 deng. Since Ling had been to the secular world several times, she definitely knew the way. Xiao Chen felt that his decision to bring Ling along was very wise. That, our cloud-attracting sect doesn't enter the inner martial arts world from here. We have a special passage for the inner martial arts world. We go in and out by sea, Ling said weakly as she blinked her eyes. Every time she came out of the inner martial arts world, she would follow Granny Nanshan or the martial uncles from the sect on a boat. She had never traveled by land. Previously, she thought that Xiao Chen knew the way, so she followed him obediently. She didn't expect him to have designs on her. Then how far will it take if we go back the way we came and change to the sea? Xiao Chen was stunned. He originally thought that with 2 people from the inner martial arts world leading the way, it would be foolproof. He didn't expect it to be so troublesome. What a scam. The distance isn't a problem. The main problem is that we don't have a boat. Ling said innocently, moreover, even if we get a boat, I don't know where to go. Ling's cheeks were a little red. When they took the boat out of the inner martial arts world, she was focused on cultivating and didn't pay attention to the direction the boat was going. Therefore, she was also confused at this time. Xiao Chen was speechless. He looked at the 2 forks in the road and was worried. Although he could see the situation behind the fog with his divine sense, he didn't dare to walk around recklessly. If he led so many people and went to the wrong place, it would be a big problem. Chapter 988. After thinking for a long time, Xiao Chen decided to set up camp in the same place. Since this was the only way to the inner martial arts world, there must be people going in and out of the inner martial arts world passing by. He could just ask them when the time came. After the plan was made, Xiaochen took Jia Muzhen to collect some wood and temporarily built 2 simple wooden houses by the roadside. Cheng Menjing took the others to collect firewood and some game as ingredients for dinner. They settled down in front of the fork in the road. Although the valley was very foggy, there were no wild beasts or strange insects. The temperature was very suitable. They lived a happy and harmonious life. The only regret was that Jia Muzhen was there. Xiaochen was embarrassed to let him stay in a house alone, so he had to stay with him. The girls stayed in another house, which was not convenient for double cultivation. Just like that, they waited for about 2 days. Finally, a figure pushed through the layers of fog and came over. At this moment, Xiaochen and the others were chatting aimlessly outside the wooden house when they saw 3 men dressed like martial artists walking over. The young man in the lead was a little surprised to see Xiaochen and the others. He did not expect that someone would arrive earlier than them. The young man glanced at Xiaochen and the others, took a few steps forward, and asked calmly, "Little brother, have you also received the joint invitation from the Inner Martial Arts World families to participate in the Inner Martial Arts World Trial?" Xiaochen was stunned. The Inner Martial Arts World Trial? What was that? Turning his head to glance at Jia Muzhen and Linger, Xiaochen wanted to ask them, but they were also confused. Seeing this, Xiaochen knew that he could not count on them, so he answered calmly, "Well, we are from the Green Rock sect, but I only know that there is such a thing. I don't know the content of the trial. Do you know what we are going to do?" While probing ambiguously, Xiaochen thought quickly. The first thing he thought of was that it must be related to the venerable secret realm. But, wasn't this place a secret? Was it open to the outside martial arts world? So it's a friend from Green Rock faction. In fact, it's a trial jointly organized by a few big families in the inner martial arts world. Through the Warriors Guild, they've sent out an invitation to the outside world to recruit cultivators from the outer martial arts world and the secular world. They're asking everyone to go to the trial's mine to collect some spirit jades. Then, based on the number of spirit jades collected, after the trial is completed, they can use it to exchange for generous rewards. The young man explained the contents of the trial. However, he was a little puzzled. Since these people were from the Green Rock faction, how could they not know the contents of the trial? However, when he thought about it, the Green Rock sect was just a small sect. It was normal for them to not be well informed. I see. Xiaochen was a little surprised, but on the surface, he still smiled and teased, "Hee, I wonder which family has the courage to join hands to organize such a grand trial. What other families could there be? Isn't it just the Jia clan, the Tang clan, and the Yu clan? I heard that this trial was initiated by the Jia clan. Big families are really bold. It's only been a few days, and there are already hundreds of people signing up." The young man sighed sincerely. The eyes of Cheng Menjing, Ling Qianxue, and the others quietly drifted towards Jia Muzhen. They saw that his face was as red as if it had been burned by fire. He cursed softly, "Too despicable. They don't even let the cultivators of the secular world go." How could Jia Muzhen still not understand when he had already said this much? This was because the Tianyu mine did not have enough manpower to mine, and they were frantically looking for workers to do hard labor. They even called it a trial mission, but in fact, it was cheap labor. Xiaochen could tell that Jia Muzhen was a little embarrassed. He reached out and patted Jia Muzhen's shoulder to comfort him. He said to the young man, "That's right. Our sect leader said the same thing. The few of you are going to the Heavenly Jade Mine, right?" "Yes. This is the place. So you guys know. You made me waste so much effort to explain." "Really?" The young man was a little unhappy. What kind of person was this, wasting his saliva? "Hee, in fact, I came in a hurry. I only remembered that I was going to the Tianyu mine. I didn't have time to listen to the specific details, so I left in a hurry. When I remembered, I was too embarrassed to go back and ask the sect leader. Thank you, brother. Xiaofan laughed a few times and pretended to be embarrassed. The young man did not take it to heart. He casually made a sound of agreement. He thought that this person was too muddle-headed. He dared to participate in the trial without asking clearly about the situation. He was not afraid of death. Since we are going the same way, let's go together? Xiaofan asked. Now that there was someone who knew the situation, as long as he followed him, he could enter the inner martial arts world. Well, okay. The young man nodded absent-mindedly. Seeing Xiaofan's slow-witted look, he guessed that he was a rather careless and impatient person, so he didn't take it too seriously. He found a relatively clean rock by the side of the road and sat down. Xiaofan took a few steps forward with the others in high spirits. When he turned his head, he found that the three people did not follow him at all. They were sitting on the side and resting. Xiaofan was a little puzzled. He turned his head and asked, "Why don't you go? It's still early. We should hurry on our way." "What way?" "Just gather here. Then wait for the people of the inner martial arts world to come out and support us." The young man looked at Xiaofan in surprise. He felt that this guy was a little stupid. They had already arrived at the gathering place. Where was he going? This person's brain was too bad. When they arrived at the inner martial arts world, they should go their own way, so that they would not be dragged down again. Look at my memory. Xiaofan slapped his forehead and hurriedly walked back with a thick face. He looked around awkwardly, and his forehead was a little sweaty. Cheng Menjing rolled her eyes at Xiaofan. This guy usually liked to play tricks and boasted that his intelligence was unparalleled. She did not expect that there would be a day when he would fail miserably in an easy task. Fortunately, the other party did not see through it. Otherwise, if he was really suspected, he would be exposed with just a few words. Linger, Ling Qianxue, Tian Suruan, and Jia Muzhen looked at each other. Everyone's facial expressions were a little unnatural. They could not help but want to laugh, but they did not dare to really laugh. Their faces were almost twisted from holding back their laughter. The young man did not notice. He had already turned his face away, no longer paying attention to Xiaofan. Anyway, he had made up his mind not to team up with this guy, so he did not want to see him act stupid anymore. Time passed quickly, and more people came from all over the place to gather. The wooden houses that imitated Xiaofan's construction almost filled the entire valley. Among the people who arrived, Xiaofan did not expect to see many familiar figures who had participated in the Spring Festival auction. Among them were the horse-faced cultivator, the black-cloaked man, the arrogant young master, the bearded man, and others. There were also people from the Valley of 10,000 Medicine. However, Xiaofan did not mind. After all, he did not disguise himself. At that time, he appeared at the auction as Yang Jiannan, so these people did not recognize his current appearance. Instead, those who were familiar with each other greeted each other, and it was considered that they had met. Chapter 989. Although the valley was full of people, they did not socialize much. They gathered in twos and threes, occupying a space and whispering to the people of their respective sections. After all, the purpose of this trial was to collect spiritual jades, so there was no need to be too polite. When the time came, someone might stab them in the back. Even if they were familiar with each other, there was no need. On the third day, when the valley was almost full, a young man finally walked out of the fog on the other side of the fork in the road. Those with sharp eyes rushed forward and surrounded the young man. Those who were a step too late could only resentfully wait on the periphery. Xiaofan and the rest continued to lazily stay where they were without moving. After all, the valley was only so big. As long as that young man spoke in a normal voice, everyone would be able to hear him. There was no need for them to sharpen their heads and drill their way in. The young man stood on a stone and glanced at the crowd condescendingly. With an arrogant expression, he shouted loudly, "Line up, line up. What kind of mess is this? If you want to go in, obediently follow the order. Why do you have no manners at all?" The people around did not dare to be negligent and quickly began to line up. There were many pushing and shoving and threatening to cut the line. However, after all, everyone was considered a member of the outer Wulin, so they did not fight too much. They still lined up in a very short time. Naturally, Xiaofan and the others stood at the back. The young man looked around and curled the corner of his mouth. He took out a form from his bosom and began to record the names of the people participating in the trial one by one. As he wrote down, he kept shouting, "You should all know the rules. If anyone dares to fight privately before the trial starts, they will be directly disqualified. I'll remember those few just now. All of you pay attention. When you go to the inner Wulin, all of you better behave. Don't look at what you shouldn't see, and don't gossip about what you shouldn't say. Otherwise, apart from being disqualified and driven out, the sect you belong to will be severely punished. I think you don't want to shame your sect, right?" Everyone was still counting on this young man to lead the way for them, so they all agreed obediently. No one dared to oppose him. If they offended him, wouldn't it be too shameful to be driven back without even being able to enter the inner martial arts world? After he finished registering the silent Xiaofan's group, the young man stuffed the form into his bosom and jumped down from the rock. He said very arrogantly, "All right, stop dawdling, follow me." After he finished speaking, he walked towards one of the forked roads. "Who is this person? Do you know him? He looks quite arrogant." Xiaofan glanced at the young man and deliberately lagged behind as he asked Jia Muzan. "I know him, but he's not from our family. He's a third-generation descendant of the Tang family's patriarch. His name is Tang Qinqi." Jia Muzan also lowered his voice and said disdainfully, "He's just an errand boy. Don't be fooled by his arrogance. He's actually a bastard. His status isn't much higher than mine." Jia Muzan never had a good impression of this kind of person, so his evaluation was merciless. "Oh. But he's responsible for registering and guiding people into the inner martial world. It can be considered a heavy responsibility, right? It seems that this guy is quite popular in the Tang family. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let him come." Xiaofan nodded. He didn't care much about Tang Qinqi's arrogant attitude. He was just a follower, nothing more. Arguing with him would only lower his status. However, he still felt strange in his heart. He didn't know why the Tang family would send such a fool to lead the way for everyone. Tisk, isn't it because he relied on Tang Qianling, the heir of the Tang family? He hugged someone's thigh and became their lackey. He felt that he had a backer, so he's very proud and looks down on us. Jia Muzan shrugged and said with a look of disdain, "Jia Huiyan also asked me to follow him, but I couldn't be bothered with him. I don't have any dignity." TSK, you can't say that. If you really followed Jia Huiyan, maybe the one leading the way here today would be you. Ha ha ha. Xiaofan couldn't help but make fun of him. "Hey! Those guys behind you, are you not taking my words seriously or what? I told you not to gossip, but you're still talking nonsense. Behave yourselves. Do you believe that I'll chase you all away if you keep making noise?" Tang Qinqi, who was leading the way, pricked his ears and heard Xiaofan's laughter. He immediately turned around and pointed his finger at Tang Qinqi and scolded him. Xiaofan rolled his eyes at the sky. He was speechless. His voice wasn't that loud either. Tang Qinqi could actually hear him. It seemed that this kid's cultivation was not low. Could it be that he had a pair of clairvoyant ears? Jia Muzan patted Xiaofan's shoulder and smiled helplessly at him. The two of them stopped chatting and continued to follow the group forward. Everyone followed Tang Qinqi. They walked here and there in the fog. After walking for about half an hour, Tang Qianqi suddenly stopped. There were two towering trees not far away. Between the two trees, there was a strange green light that was constantly surging out. It was obviously different from the surrounding environment. Xiaofan quietly released his divine sense. He saw a huge teleportation formation on the ground in front of him. The green light was emitted by the formation. Seeing this formation, Xiaofan was a little surprised. Although he had seen a teleportation formation before, it was the first time he had seen such a big one. Okay, we're here. Tang Qianqi turned around and put down the bag that he had been carrying on his back from the beginning. He said, "Now, I'll start giving out the trial taker's tokens. This token will be your only identification in the inner martial arts world. If you want to enter and exit the inner martial arts world, you must use the token. If anyone loses it, come to me for a replacement. The handling fee is 100 million. With a clattering sound, Tang Qianqi took out a pile of ebony tokens from his backpack. These tokens all had a faint cyan glow similar to the color of the magic circle. Other than that, there was nothing special about them. 100 million. Isn't this too expensive? Is this a robbery? That's right. Such a broken piece of wood. You actually have to spend money to buy it. What a scam. This number was too shocking. Many people couldn't help but start to complain. Although everyone felt that they were cautious and wouldn't easily lose the token, what if they accidentally broke it or someone stole it? Wouldn't they have wasted 100 million? All of you, shut up. Hearing the noise of the crowd, Tang Qianqi frowned and said in a lukewarm tone, "If anyone doesn't want to participate, you can leave now. But I'll say the ugly words first. I don't have time to send out timid people like you. If you think you're capable, you can try and see if you can walk out of this forest." Chapter 990. Hearing this, everyone immediately quieted down. Although they were a little unhappy and felt that they had been cheated by Tang Qianqi, they dared not say anything. After all, they really did not have the confidence to escape from the fog. When they were brought here by Tang Qianqi, they could not even see their fingers in front of them. Who would remember the route? Even if they remembered, what if there were other dangers in this forest? Since there are no objections, then come and get your token. Seeing that everyone was silent, many people began to gather here. Tang Qianqi said proudly, "That's more like it. I have just registered your names. I will report one, you come and get one. You can't get it on someone else's behalf or falsely." After that, Tang Qianqi took out the registration form and began to report the names. He distributed the ebony token one by one and shouted as he distributed it, "Let me tell you one more thing. Remember, the token can only be used once. After you enter the inner martial arts world, it will lose its effect. If you want to come out again, you must first confirm with the organizer and then come to me to activate the token. However, it will cost 50 million for each activation." What the F***ck? This kid is obviously cheating money. No wonder his name has the word money in it. Is the Tang family relying on this to get rich? Xiaofan muttered. Although he was a little reluctant, the situation was not in his favor. He had no choice but to go over and collect a token. There is no other way. When the time comes, if you want to come out, I will try to see if I can secretly activate it for you through my connections. Otherwise, he will collect a sum of money for nothing. Xiaofan responded and also went forward to get the token. Xiaofan held the ebony token in his hand and carefully looked at it. He found that apart from the green light it emitted, there was a string of numbers engraved on the front of the token. Other than that, there was no other mark. At this time, Xiaofan had already returned. Looking at the number on the token, he was speechless and said, "Sigh, 54044, it is quite unlucky." "Xiaofan, what is your number?" "Pfft. 54088, I am your father. This guy gave me his father's token. Could it be that he's hinting that I should exercise my father's authority and teach him a lesson? Xiaochen laughed and teased. Sister Sour's number isn't good either. Menjing, Ling, Qianxue, your numbers. Tian Sour, who was the last to receive his token, had just returned. When he saw the token in his hand, he was about to ask for the others' numbers when he was interrupted by Tang Qianqi. Everyone, have you gotten your tokens? All of you, stand in that circle and get ready to enter the inner martial arts world. Tang Qianqi shouted at the top of his lungs. Tian Soran pouted helplessly. He had no choice but to dismiss the idea of asking for the number. Holding the token, he walked into the circle with Xiaochen and the others. As soon as everyone stepped into the circle, they felt a flash of green light, and then everything went black. Not long after, the surroundings became bright again. However, they were no longer in the forest. Obviously, they had been transported to another place. The surroundings were surrounded by verdant hills and clear waters. It was completely different from the thick and foggy forest outside. It was unknown whether it was a parallel space of another dimension or a paradise. Xiaochen glanced around and found that the inner martial arts world was really a good place. The temperature was suitable, and the spiritual qi was abundant. It was much better than the secular world. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. No wonder there were so many people with the strength of King Wu or Demon Lord in this place. This place was naturally suitable for cultivators to exist. After coming back to his senses, Xiaochen looked down at the token in his hand and found that it had become an ordinary piece of wood. It was no longer emitting that kind of green light. Obviously, as Tang Qianqi had said, this ebony token could only be used once. If he wanted to use it again, he would probably have to inject energy or use a special method to activate it. Everyone was curious and excited to enter the inner martial arts world. They followed Tang Qianqi all the way, shuttling through strange places. 3 days later, they finally arrived at a town and were arranged to stay in an inn. Tang Qianqi arranged a place for them to stay, told everyone to wait here for notification, and then disappeared. Tang Qianqi arranged for Xiaochen's group to stay in the 2 largest luxurious rooms in the inn. After all, they had the largest number of people. Tang Qianqi also attached more importance to them. Anyway, they were cannon fodder labor. Of course, the more people, the better. Therefore, he simply gave them the best treatment. Xiaochen and the others naturally didn't refuse. After arranging their luggage in the room, they went to the hall on the first floor of the inn, ready to eat. However, as soon as they sat down, they were stared at by another group of people sitting in the corner. Brothers, look! The girls at that table are not bad. There are a lot of them, and they are of high quality. Moreover, each of them is dripping water. Should we go and play with them? A big man with a dark face and sideburns poured wine into his mouth. His wretched eyes glanced at Tian Wangchuan and Ling Er. He couldn't wait to rush over and do something to them. Old hey, you don't say. Those girls are really of the highest quality. Especially that girl in tight clothes. Just her long legs and perky butt alone, tsk, I can play with her for a year. A man with a crew cut sitting next to the bearded man stared at Ling Qianxue. He had a lewd and evil smile on his face, and his saliva almost dripped down. I like the one sitting next to the tight clothes. She looks like the daughter of a big family. Deep down, she must like to be trained. I like this kind of little slut who looks high and mighty on the surface the most. The skinny man sitting at the other end of the table looked at Cheng Menjing's face obscenely. His eyes were shining with golden light. Let's go. Let's go drink with those girls and get to know each other. Who knows, we might be able to have sex tonight. The bearded man raised his head and drank all the wine in his bowl. He wiped his mouth casually, stood up, and swaggered over to Xiaochen's table. This is not good, right? Old hey, don't you see there are 2 men at that table? Moreover, fighting in private will be disqualified and expelled from the inner martial arts world. If the sect leader finds out, we will be in big trouble. The skinny man saw the bearded man taking action and stopped him worriedly. He was the kind of person who was lecherous but did not have the guts to do it. It was okay for him to fantasize, but if he were to really fight, he would be a little guilty. Coward, what are you afraid of? Those 2 men look like they are made of wax. How can they compare to our guns and cannons? As long as we teach them a good lesson, they will not dare to say a word. The man with the crew cut hooked his arm around the skinny man's shoulder and dragged him over. But the skinny man was still a little hesitant. How could he explain if he was seen by the inner martial arts world people? Chapter 991. The buzz-cut guy glared at him and whispered in his ear, "You've been holding it in for a long time, haven't you? When we get the girl back, I'll let you fight with that girl for 300 rounds. She'll definitely not be able to leave you in the future." The skinny guy thought of that erotic scene and suddenly felt his lower abdomen heat up. He straightened his back, took a deep breath, and strode toward Xiao Chen's table. A sneer flashed across Xiao Chen's mouth. Although he was eating with his head down and didn't seem to care about his surroundings, he had been releasing his divine sense and remained vigilant. He had long heard the 3 scumbags' words clearly. However, Xiao Chen didn't take the initiative to find trouble with them. What a joke, none of the girls around him were easy to deal with. If they wanted to covet them, they had to see how much they were worth first. "Beauties, are you eating? How about you give us face and have a drink or 2 with us?" The bearded man came to the table and sat down between Tian Souring and Linger. He said with a straight face, as the saying goes, meeting is fate. "You 2 are so beautiful, how boring it is to eat with these 2 cowards. Brother will introduce you to a few strong men. I guarantee that you will be happier than gods, ha ha ha." Linger and Tian Souring both frowned and stood up at the same time. They stared at the bearded man with disdain and turned to sit next to Xiao Chen. Now that they were in the martial arts world, they didn't want to take the initiative to cause trouble. If they broke the rules and were kicked out, it would be terrible. The bearded man was about to pour the wine, but suddenly the space next to him was empty. He was stunned. He didn't expect these 2 girls to react so quickly. He held the wine pot, and for a moment, he didn't know whether he should continue to pour the wine or chase after Linger and sit next to her. He's right, these 2 are trash. One is a skinny white face, and the other is a 4-eyed frog with glasses. How can they take care of you? They will be sucked dry in minutes. Let the 3 of us accompany you. The buzz-cut man sat down next to Ling Qinxue and laughed. Ling Qinshue's face darkened. Before she could react, the man with the crew-cut hair suddenly pulled the skinny man over and pushed him towards Cheng Menjing. He yelled, "Skinny man, hurry up and have a good chat with that young lady." When the skinny man was pushed, he simply took advantage of the situation and pounced over. He was now drunk. Since he had already done it, he might as well do it to the end. Cheng Menjing glared at the man with the buzz cut in disgust. She slightly leaned to the side, dodging the skinny man's pounce, and then reprimanded in a tender voice, "Are you all drunk? Get out of my sight, don't act like a drunkard here. Little girl, you're wrong. How can this place be cool? Of course, your body is the coolest. Don't waste this skinny guy's good intentions. Hurry up and let him cool off." The man with the buzz cut smiled lewdly and reached out to touch Ling Qinshue's thigh. "Girl, your legs are really good. You practice yoga a lot, right? What positions do you like?" Slap. There was a loud slap in the face. Before the man's hand could touch his thigh, he leaned back and felt a burning pain on his left cheek. The man with the buzz cut covered his cheek and looked around blankly. Did someone just slap me? But I didn't see who did it. Get lost. While the man with the buzz cut was in a daze, Ling Qianxue took a step back and then lightly kicked his chin. Bang! Ah! The man with the buzz cut screamed. He didn't have time to react and was directly kicked out. He fell heavily on the ground and spat out a few teeth. Blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. His mouth was moaning, but he couldn't even speak. Motherf * king bitch, how dare you hit me? Seeing this scene, the man with the beard almost exploded in anger. He threw the wine bottle and didn't bother to flirt with Ling Er anymore. He directly used his cultivation method and slapped Ling Qianxue. Bang! Another heavy sound rang out. Before the man with the beard's palm could touch Ling Qianxue's chest, he suddenly felt a strong wave of warrior qi coming from behind. Caught off guard, he was directly sent flying. Ouch! The man with the beard also cried out in pain and fell beside the man with the buzz cut. Blood kept bubbling from the corner of his mouth. The two looked at each other in horror. You're at the peak of level 6 Martial General. The skinny guy stood up and pointed at Ling Er in shock. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that these girls, who looked like pretty vases, actually possessed such profound strength. I'm only at the level of Martial General, and you're already this scared? Do you want to continue to stay and test out the feeling of flying, or do you want to take those two scum and roll back? Ling Er said coldly. She originally didn't want to make a move, but she was afraid that the man with the beard would suddenly attack and Ling Qianxue would be injured. So, after a short moment of hesitation, she gave the man with the beard a slap from behind. Female hero, spare me, I'll take them away now. I promise I won't come back and cause trouble for you guys again. The skinny guy was so scared that he peed in his pants. He scrambled over, holding the man with the beard with his left hand and holding the buzz cut with his right. He didn't even look back as he ran back to his room, as if he was running for his life. Looking at the backs of the three people leaving, Xiaofan curled his lips. When those people were about to make a move, he wanted to make a move, but Ling Er and Ling Qianxue beat him to it. They beat them up so badly that he could only sit and watch the show. Humph. I thought that the people who came to participate in the trial were of good quality. I didn't expect there to be such scum. If I wasn't afraid of being disqualified, would have killed them with a slap. Cheng Menjing frowned and complained unhappily as she looked at the skinny guy running away. That's right, that's right. How dare you try to take advantage of sour sis? Do you have a Maserati or something? Do you have a mansion? Really, do you really think we're easy to bully? Tian Wangshuo waved his fist and said angrily. Xiao Chen was a little speechless. If they had thrown out their car and house keys, you would have run away with them? You really don't think before you speak? Forget it, this kind of scum, it's enough to teach them a lesson. If we really beat them to death, I'm afraid we'll be in big trouble, Ling Qianxue said, then cleared the dishes and sat down to continue eating. That buzz-cut guy got slapped, it was you who did it, right? Ling Er also returned to her original seat. She turned around and asked Xiao Chen, "You're so fast. Even I didn't see how you slapped him. It seems that your cultivation is higher than before." Ling Er was sitting beside Xiao Chen just now, but she only saw Xiao Chen put down the chopsticks in his hand, then pick them up again in less than a second, and then the buzz cut got slapped for no reason. Only then did she realize that it was Xiao Chen who did it, and no one present saw Xiao Chen's actions. Chapter 992. Yes, I only patted him lightly. I didn't dare to use too much strength. There are so many people watching. If someone dies, we will definitely be the ones to suffer. Xiao Chen nodded. Ever since he came to the inner Wulin, he had been a little more restrained. He didn't dare to be as unscrupulous as before. After all, there were people who were more powerful than him everywhere. It was better to avoid trouble. Xiao Chen is right. Everyone should be careful. Don't hurt people unless it's absolutely necessary. Don't be fooled by that Tang Qinqi's taking care of us. If something bad happens, he will definitely turn against us. People from the big families in the inner Wulin are like that. Jia Muzhen said sympathetically. He knew Tang Qinqi quite well. This person was like most of the children born of concubines. He knew that he had no hope of reaching the top, so he attached himself to the direct descendants of the family and then took the opportunity to plunder money. He was the type who wouldn't do anything without benefits. As long as he received benefits from others, he would do anything. The skinny man carried his two brothers back to the room with great difficulty. He quickly gave them medicine and took out ice packs to apply on their wounds. He applied medicine and bandaged their wounds. After being busy for a while, the two gradually woke up. However, they were still a little groggy and could only lie on the bed to rest. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The skinny man almost jumped up in shock. He thought it was the girls from before who came to seek revenge. He paced around the room like an ant on a hot pan for a while. After a while, he decided to pretend that he was not there and not open the door to avoid being beaten up for no reason. "Brother Wei, are you in the room? Let's go out for a drink while it's still early. It's my treat." The knocking outside the door stopped. A male voice sounded and then knocked a few more times. "Ah, is it Brother Hong? Please wait a moment." Skinny Wei let out a long breath and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He knew this voice. It was Hong Dingrue who lived in the room next door. Hong Dingrue was a capable disciple of the Xuanyu sect, an orthodox sect in the outer martial arts world. He had come to the inner martial arts world with Skinny Wei and the others in the last batch. Since they got along well, they quickly became fair-weather friends. They often drank and talked about women together. They could be said to be good friends who shared the same rotten tastes. Skinny Wei broke out in cold sweat from fear, and he hurriedly ran over to open the door and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Big Brother Hong. I made you wait for so long. Two of my brothers are injured, and I'm taking care of them now." "What? How did Brother Niu and Brother Zhou get injured? They were fine when you saw them in the afternoon?" Hong Dingrue stared blankly as he saw the two of them lying on the bed sickly. One of them was half sitting and half sitting, his chin was swollen like a ball, while the other was naked with a large purple patch on his back. It seemed that their injuries were not light. Sigh, what else could have happened to them? They were beaten up. When we went downstairs to eat just now, we happened to see a few exquisite chicks. Originally, we wanted to invite them for a drink or two and reminisce, but we never expected that those stinking B***cheese would actually make a move directly. What do you think is going on? Skinny Wei sighed heavily and gave a simple recount of the incident. Damn! Those B***cheese are quite daring. They even dare to beat you up. Don't they know that you're my brother? Hong Dingrue slammed the door and said angrily. Big Brother Hong, don't mention it. Skinny Wei rolled his eyes and put on a bitter face. He added fuel to the fire. We purposely told them your name, but they beat us up a few more times. The main thing is that one of the girls is a martial general, and we can't defeat her. Among the three of them, the highest cultivation was only at the peak stage 10 martial mentor, and they were no match for Ling Er. Damn, how dare they be so arrogant. Come with me. Hong Dingrue pulled Skinny Wei to the railing of the corridor on the second floor. He looked down at the dining hall and said, Brother Wei, just point out the person for me, and don't worry about anything else. Isn't she just a martial general? I'll bring a bunch of people and take care of her in minutes. Then, I'll catch those girls and let you three brothers have fun. How can we do that? We're not as skilled as them, so how can we trouble you, big brother Hong? Skinny Wei was delighted, but he still said a few words of humility. What are you talking about? Hong Dingrui put on a straight face. Aren't we brothers? There's no need to talk about trouble between brothers. Hurry up. Then, I'll thank big brother Hong first. Skinny Wei agreed. He looked around and pointed at Ling Qianxue and Ling, who had finished their meal and were waiting for the bill. He said, "Look, it's them." Just now, younger brother Niu and younger brother Zhou were beaten up to that state by that chick in tight clothes and the sluts by her side. Oh. They're all new faces. I don't think I've seen them before in the martial arts world. Could it be that they're all solo cultivators from the secular world? Hong Dingrui glanced at Xiao Chen's table, and his eyes were immediately attracted. Top quality. All of them were top quality beauties. I've never seen such beautiful girls in the martial arts world. I'm not too sure about this. But I've never seen them before. I guess they're new here today. Skinny Wei scratched his head and said, "Whether they're new or not, I'll definitely help you." Hong Dingrui licked his lips, and then he turned around and patted Skinny Wei in a righteous manner as he said, "Brother Wei, go take care of brother Niu and brother Zhou first. I'll bring my men over right now and help all of you take revenge. Wait for my good news." However, Hong Dingrui naturally wouldn't hand over these top-quality girls so easily. His plan was to send Skinny Wei away first, then call a bunch of people over to get the girls over. He and his brothers in the martial arts sect would enjoy them first, and then talk about it after they've had enough fun. Good. Then I'll thank brother Hong on behalf of the three of us first. I'll treat you and your brothers to a good meal some other day as a way to return the favor. Skinny Wei expressed his gratitude with a face full of joy. Look at you, I've already said that we're good brothers. Don't treat me like an outsider. If there's nothing else, I'll go and prepare first. Those girls should be going upstairs soon. Hong Dingrui waved his hand casually, turned around, and walked towards his own room. Skinny Wei looked at Hong Dingrui's disappearing figure in excitement, and shook his head a little helplessly. He turned around and walked back. He wasn't an idiot, so he naturally understood what Hong Dingrui was thinking. However, the three of them were indeed not strong enough, so they didn't dare to have any improper thoughts. They only hoped that Hong Dingrui would remember to leave some soup for them after he finished the meat. Chapter 993. Xiao Chen and the others had their fill. It was already dark outside, and they were too lazy to go out for a stroll. They were not familiar with the surroundings, so they chose to go back to their rooms to rest. Xiao Chen, this room's soundproofing isn't good. Don't make too much noise at night. Jia Muzhen stood at the door of the room and winked at Xiao Chen. Previously, they were out in the open with such a large group of people. In order not to attract attention, Xiao Chen chose to stay with Jia Muzhen. Now that they had two luxurious suites in this inn, Xiao Chen naturally chose to stay with the girls. He could also seize the time to cultivate. Although Jia Muzhen didn't have any objections, he felt a little sad. It was boring to live alone in such a large room. If he had known this would happen, he would have found a girlfriend in university. Then he wouldn't have been so lonely. Jia Muzhen, what nonsense are you talking about? Cheng Menjing glared at Jia Muzhen and scolded him. Sister Menjing, this four-eyed guy is obviously jealous of Xiao Chen. Let's ignore him. I'll sleep with you at night, and I won't make any strange sounds. I won't let him eavesdrop. Tian Souring pulled Cheng Menjing's hand and smiled. Souring, you keep calling yourself Sister Menjing, and you call yourself Sister Souring. Who's the senior here? I'm getting confused. Xiao Chen teased. He took out the key and was about to open the door. From the corner of his eye, he saw a group of people walking toward him aggressively. Xiao Chen put down the key again. Although he didn't know the reason, his intuition told him that these people were here to cause trouble. There was no need to open the door. He might as well wait and see. Of course it's because Sister Menjing is the senior. She's the main wife, I'm the second wife, and Qianxue and Ling are the junior wives. Oh, and Wuxia too, although she won't admit it. Ha ha ha. Tian Souring laughed proudly. Hey! All of you, stop right there. Cheng Menjing was about to open her mouth when a loud shout came from not far away. Everyone turned their heads and saw Hong Dingrui rushing over with a group of men. He stopped in front of Xiao Chen and shouted angrily, "Do you know the rules?" There were only a few of them, yet they dared to stay in a big room? Everyone is here to train, not to seek pleasure. Be careful not to provoke public anger. You. Just as Tian Suruan was about to flare up, he was held back by Xiao Chen. He took a step forward and asked calmly, "Oh. Then what do you want?" At this time, Hong Dingrui was carefully looking at Cheng Menjing, Ling Qianxue, and the others. Looking at them up close, he realized that these girls were not only beautiful, but also had their own unique characteristics. It made his heart itch. No wonder Skinny Wei and the others were so impulsive. As for the group of people behind Hong Dingrui, other than his senior and junior brothers from Xuanyu faction, there were also some disciples from other factions. They were all called over by Hong Dingrui because he was afraid that they were not strong enough. At this time, they were staring greedily at the girls, their faces filled with undisguised lust. These people were originally lusting after the beauties. They came here to pretend to be upholding justice, but in fact, they wanted a share of the loot. Anyway, there were so many beauties of different styles here. With such a large group of people, they could easily get a few over with just a few threatening words. Everyone could play together, and when they were tired of playing, they could switch to continue playing with each other. Why not? Hearing Xiao Chen's question, Hong Dingrui thought that the other party was afraid. He waved his hand proudly and said, "How about it? Of course, you guys should quickly give up the room and let the inner martial artists stay. They will be here in a few days." "Oh, but if that's the case, we won't have any rooms." Xiao Chen asked without batting an eyelid, "How do you think we should allocate our rooms?" "Don't worry, I've already thought about it for you guys." Hong Dingrui said seriously, "How about this? It's too empty for each of us to have a room. These women can be paired with us, 1 woman per room will do. If it's not enough, we can change rooms." The girls immediately looked angry. Before they could say anything, Hong Dingrui looked at Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen and said in a strange tone, "As for you and that four-eyed guy, the two of you can share a small room. Anyway, you guys look gay, so it's suitable for you guys to stay together." Ha ha ha. After Hong Dingrui finished speaking, the people behind him suddenly burst into laughter. All of them looked at Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen's lower body. Someone took out a piece of soap and threw it in front of the two of them. "Oh my, I didn't expect you guys to have 2 faces. I think you guys are a group of real gays. There are actually people who carry soap with them and throw it everywhere. It really scared me." Tian Souring looked down at the soap on the ground, smacked her lips and sighed. Jia Muzhen, Cheng Menjing, Ling Qianxue and the others were originally full of anger and were about to explode. However, when they heard Tian Souring's words, they were instantly amused. Xiao Chen was angry and amused at the same time. He couldn't help but roll his eyes at Tian Souring. This little girl was really insensitive. From time to time, she would say something that made people not know whether to laugh or cry. What should they say about her? This. Who the hell threw it? Hong Dingrui was a little embarrassed after being ridiculed. He glared at his men behind him and was too lazy to argue with them anymore. He said impatiently, "All right, don't talk about those useless things. My suggestion is not bad, right? Have you guys thought about it? The suggestion is not bad, but what if I don't agree? Xiaofan spat out the toothpick in his mouth and said casually. He was so angry that he almost laughed. Why were the outer martial artists' thoughts so weird? No wonder Ma Baobao and his son were so stupid and liked to play trapeze. And the smiling Mithraea of the joyful clan was the same. This decision has been made by everyone. You have to agree even if you don't agree. Hong Dingrui looked at Xiao Chen's indifferent expression and frowned slightly. He didn't expect this guy to be such a troublemaker. It seemed that if he didn't teach him a lesson, he wouldn't give in. At this thought, Hong Dingrui activated his mental cultivation method and instantly released the strength of a martial king realm great perfection. He threatened Xiao Chen, "Hurry up, I don't have time to waste with you. Just tell me if you want to change rooms or not." A martial king realm great perfection could basically look down on anyone in this inn. Therefore, Hong Dingrui was confident in his martial arts and took the lead to show off. "Oh? Based on your attitude, do you still dare to make a move if I don't agree to change rooms?" Xiao Chen asked expressionlessly as if he didn't feel Hong Dingrui's imposing manner. If it was a few months ago, Xiao Chen might have been a little afraid when he saw an expert at the martial king realm great perfection. But now, a cultivator of this level was nothing to him. Chapter 994. That's right. Even if we kill you, it'll be for nothing. When the time comes, we'll all give false testimony together. Let's see who the venerable ones in the martial arts world will believe. Hong Dingrui felt that Xiao Chen's question was extremely childish. Xiao Chen looked at him with a faint smile, as if to say, "Try me if you can." However, Hong Dingrui did not think so. When he saw that Xiao Chen was indifferent, he thought that he was shocked by his coercion. He pointed at Cheng Menjing and ordered his men behind him, "All right, stop wasting time. This woman will come with me. You guys decide how to distribute the rest." After that, he swaggered towards Cheng Menjing. He reached out to grab her wrist and was about to take her away. Boom! There was a loud noise. Before Hong Dingrui could touch Cheng Menjing's hand, Xiao Chen had already slapped him. Hong Dingrui's head was instantly blown away by the powerful force. Due to the speed, he was still standing there. Other than the fact that he had no head, he looked exactly like a normal person. The people around him were stunned and did not move. None of them could react. After a while, Hong Dingrui's blood spurted out from his neck like a fountain. Like a fountain, it instantly dyed the entire ceiling red. Wow! That's amazing. You knew that the paint on the ceiling was peeling, so you deliberately used your blood to paint it. You sacrificed yourself for the inn. When the time comes, the Tang family will definitely reward you. Xiao Chen waved his hand and blew away the mist that came out of his palm. Only then did everyone come back to their senses. They took a few steps back and looked at Xiao Chen in horror. Xiao Chen looked around and sneered, "Did I say you could leave? Come over and take a closer look. How did this guy die?" "Venerable. Venerable one. You're a venerable one." That group of people almost wet their pants. Although they did not see how Xiao Chen attacked, the strength he displayed in that instant was clearly that of a level 1 honorable. Many people's backs were drenched in cold sweat. Fortunately, Hong Dingrui was impatient and took the initiative to attack the little girl. If they were impatient and rushed over, they would have died without a complete corpse. F*ck me, why is the venerable one in this little inn? Could it be that he's also here to train? Cut the crap. Didn't you hear my question? Tell me, how did he die? Xiao Chen asked impatiently. He once again activated his mental cultivation technique and fully displayed the strength of a venerable. Waves of pressure pressed down on the remaining people until their legs turned to jelly. I saw it all. I don't know what's wrong with him just now. He hit himself, and I don't know how, but he beat himself to death. One of them who had a faster reaction suddenly understood Xiao Chen's intention and hurriedly said. Right, right, right. We all saw it, he really killed himself. The others also came to a sudden realization and immediately echoed. Oh, all right. Xiao Chen saw that they were still sensible, so he nodded and said coldly, since you know, why don't you hurry up and get lost? Do you want to be infected by him and beat yourself to death too? The group of people shuddered and hurriedly prepared to turn around and leave. Then, Xiao Chen's demonic voice sounded again. Wait. Although this fellow sought his own death, he did a good thing before he died. He painted the ceiling evenly. There's no value in leaving him here anymore. You can take him away too. Okay. Although they agreed, the others did not dare to come closer and scattered like birds and beasts. Only the disciples of Xian Yu sect braced themselves and walked over to carry Hong Dingrui's body away. Then, they hurriedly ran back to their rooms. Wow, hubby, you're so handsome. You just waved your hand and that person's head exploded. Sister Sour really loves you more and more. Tian Sour cheered, hugged Xiao Chen's arm and kissed him on the cheek. What handsome. Sour, can you be more normal? You spat blood all over the floor. It's so disgusting. Cheng Menjian glared at Tian Sour and complained to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen, even if you want to teach that fellow a lesson, there's no need to use such extreme methods, right? Luckily, I'm more agile and dodged quickly. Otherwise, I'll definitely be covered in blood. Seeing that Xiao Chen stood up to protect her, Cheng Menjian was actually quite happy. However, this method of hitting the head was a little too bloody. Couldn't he just slap him into the sky? What's wrong with me? I'd rather Xiao Chen slap him into the sky. Could it be that I've seen too many dragonflies and centipedes, so I have a special liking for people flying in the sky? I'm sorry, I didn't control my strength well. I'll be more careful next time. Xiao Chen scratched his head in embarrassment and apologized. Actually, Xiao Chen did not expect that the power of his palm would be so strong. He had not used his full strength previously. He thought that he would just slap his opponent into the sky. He did not expect that his opponent's head would explode. Furthermore, his opponent had martial qi to protect his body. Could this be the difference between a martial venerable and a martial king at the full circle? But, they won't take this opportunity to cause trouble, right? What if they report to Tang Qianqi and cancel our qualifications to participate in the trial? Jia Muzhen frowned and muttered worriedly. He knew these kinds of lackeys too well. They said one thing on the surface and did another behind the scenes. There was no credibility to speak of. Their words could not be trusted 100%. Don't worry, there's no surveillance in this inn. They can't prove that I did it. Tang Qianqi is more than happy to have more manpower. Why would he chase us away? Besides, he's a fool with limited intelligence. Xiao Chen shrugged and said indifferently. Jia Muzhen thought that Xiao Chen's words made sense, so he did not say anything more. However, he was still a little worried. The next few days were peaceful. There was no trouble like what Jia Muzhen had said. The disciples of the Xuanyu sect did not come to cause trouble for them. Occasionally, when they met in the inn, they would only glare at Xiao Chen a few times. After that, they would not do anything else. Instead, they would go around him and take other paths. At first, Xiao Chen wanted to teach a few more a lesson. However, after a few times, he chose to ignore them. Apart from eating, the group of people stayed in their rooms to cultivate. They rarely left the inn. The town where the inn was located seemed to be similar to a town in the secular world. However, the architectural style were more ancient. Therefore, Xiao Chen only circled the vicinity of the inn a few times. He did not wander around blindly. Furthermore, there were no cars on the road. It looked very spacious. After thinking about it, it made sense. After all, everyone was a high-level cultivator. They did not need to rely on cars to travel. Just walking alone was enough. Chapter 995. Early in the morning, Tang Qianqi respectfully led 3 armed men to the door of the inn. These 3 men were the direct descendants of the 3 big families. One was Jia Huiyan of the Jia family, the other was Yu Dongsheng of the Yu family, and the last one was Tang Qianling of the Tang family. The 3 of them seemed to be in their teens or 20s, and they chatted happily with each other. However, despite their young age, they were all the 3rd-generation successors of their families, or were about to become successors. Therefore, they walked with their heads held high and their chests out. Huiyan, I heard that you are about to take office and become the successor of the Jia family? Don't forget to treat us to a drink at that time. Yu Dongsheng looked at Jia Huiyan meaningfully and teased him with a smile. You flatter me, brother Dongsheng. Jia Huiyan didn't deny it either. He smiled faintly and turned to flatter Tang Qianling. Isn't it all thanks to Big Brother Ling for sending me such a capable external aid? Only then can I have an absolute advantage in the upcoming external aid competition between the families. If I can take office successfully in the future, I will never forget your help today. Among the 3, Tang Qianling and Yu Dongsheng were the same age, while Jia Huiyan was 1 year younger than them. Therefore, he usually treated the other 2 as their younger brother. Huiyan, you are too polite. In fact, you are not much younger than us. Don't call us big brother. You make us sound old. Tang Qianling pretended to be modest, but in fact, he was already very proud. However, he did not forget Yu Dongsheng, who was on the other side. He turned to Yu Dongsheng and said with a smile, if it wasn't for Dongsheng's help, he would only be a mediocre person who can't even take care of himself, let alone help you. Qianqi, now that you are with Qianling, you must learn more. He has always been a righteous person. As long as you are loyal to him, he will definitely not treat you badly. Yu Dongsheng was obviously very happy with Tang Qianling's flattery. He spoke to Tang Qianqi sincerely like a big brother. Of course, of course. Thank you for your guidance, brother Dongsheng. I will definitely learn from Master Ling. Tang Qianqi hurriedly nodded and promised. By the way, how many people have signed up for the trial? Have we reached the required number? Tang Qianling asked. Tang Qianqi brought out the name list and looked at it before he reported, Young Master Ling, a few days ago, we brought more than 50 new people from the outer world of martial arts. Right now, there are a total of 106 people in the inn. We've already reached the standard. Tang Qianling nodded slightly and ordered, all right, then let them come out and gather. If there's no problem, we'll go back and report to the family, and prepare to send them to work in the mines. Okay, I'll go and call them out. Tang Qianqi answered and turned to run into the inn. After a while, the people in the inn came out one after another and stood in the square outside the gate. They were all doing their own things when they were called over by Tang Qianqi. They didn't know what they were going to do, nor did they know who the 3 people in front of them were. They naturally formed a small group and stood together in 2s and 3s, whispering to each other. Stop arguing. Now, let's do a head count. If you hear me call your name, shout out that you're here. After the roll call, wait for the eldest young master of the 3 big clans to give everyone a lecture. Tang Qianqi roared and everyone subconsciously quieted down. He cleared his throat and took the name list and began to take roll call. Xiao Qin stood at the back of the crowd and glanced at Jia Huiyan and the others. He turned his head and asked Jia Muzhen in a low voice, who are those 3 people? The 3 big clans? Why do they look even more hedonistic than me? They're clearly trying to steal my part of the show. The one on the left wearing red clothes is the direct descendant of the Tang clan, Tang Qianling. The one in the middle wearing white clothes is the Yu clan's young master, Yu Dongsheng. As for the one on the right who looks ugly, Jia Muzhen coldly looked at Jia Huiyan and said, that person is Jia Huiyan. The three of them are the third-generation successors of the clan. Some have already been promoted, and some will be promoted soon. Don't worry, it won't be long before you become the third-generation successor of the Jia clan. Let that idiot be free and unfettered for a while. Xiaofan patted Jia Muzhen's shoulder and asked with a little astonishment, I thought that the disciples of the big clans all looked down on each other. From the looks of it, they seem to be quite harmonious. Che, harmonious what? It's all an act. Don't look at how the three big clans seem to be harmonious on the surface, looking out for each other and helping each other, they are actually competing with each other in secret. Every clan can't wait to destroy the other two clans so that they can monopolize the power. Jia Muzhen curled his lips in disdain. Oh? How come I heard that only the Open Heaven sect is more powerful in the inner martial arts world? What's there to compete with these three big clans? No matter how powerful they are, can they be more powerful than the Open Heaven sect? Don't they still have to be managed by others? Xiaofan was a little puzzled and asked in bewilderment, moreover, I heard you say that the Tang clan also sent external help to that Jia Huiyan? If their relationship was bad, they wouldn't have specially come to help, right? Previously, when Xiaofan met little Miss Xing in the Demon Star sect, he discovered that the disciples of the other sects were all submissive to her, like mice seeing a cat. It could be seen how powerful the Open Heaven sect was in the inner martial arts world. Could it be that these three big clans were more powerful than the Open Heaven sect? That's still different. Sects are sects, clans are clans. Although the two sides usually have some interests, they basically don't interfere with each other. Jia Muzhen shrugged and explained. Oh, then are the three big clans equal in strength? No matter what, there should be a difference, right? Xiaofan asked while rubbing his chin. Jia Muzhen explained unhurriedly, the Tang clan has the most experts, and the clan's disciples are all very talented in cultivation. However, they suffer from a lack of resources on hand, and even the ancient secret manuals are very few. Although the Yu clan doesn't have many experts, and the younger generation mostly only know how to eat, drink, and play without any achievements, they have a deep foundation. They have many heavenly treasures and ancient secret manuals, so the Tang clan often sends experts to the Yu clan to learn. What about the Jia clan? Jia Muzhen paused, glanced at Jia Huiyan, and continued, as for the Jia clan, they are the biggest shareholder of the heavenly jade mine. Therefore, they have the most powerful connections in the inner martial arts world. This is an advantage that the other two clans don't have. Therefore, although the three clan masters appear to be harmonious on the surface, they secretly do everything possible to seize each other's resources for themselves. Oh, listening to what you said, the Yu clan should be the weakest. They don't have any connections, nor do they have any experts overseeing them. They only have a mountain of treasures, so it should be easy for the other two clans to swallow them up. How can they still stand tall? Xiaofan asked curiously after listening to Jia Muzhen's analysis. Chapter 996. That's because, although the Yu clan's disciples are not good and most of them are playboys, they have a very powerful ancestor. Back then, many sects and clans wanted to take advantage of the Yu clan, so they joined forces to stir up trouble. In the end, they were completely annihilated by that ancestor. Ever since that time, no one has dared to disrespect the Yu clan. Jia Muzhen smiled and explained indifferently. Damn! The inner martial world is really full of old ancestors and old monsters. Fortunately, I looked for you in advance to understand the inside story. Otherwise, if I had acted rashly and foolishly stepped on their territory, I reckon I would have been left there before I could react. Xiaofan scratched his head and laughed dryly. It seemed that he was still too weak. A mere level 1 honorable was nothing to him. In the future, not only would he have to strengthen his cultivation, he would also have to be careful when he walked in the inner martial world, lest he would be killed for no reason. Actually, since that time, the Yu clan's ancestor has been in closed-door training for many years. He won't come out easily even if there's nothing important. You don't have to worry too much. Jia Muzan smiled and patted his shoulder. Hong Dingrui. Is Hong Dingrui here? Xiao Chen was about to answer when he suddenly heard Tang Qianqi shouting loudly, Motherf *Ker, is that bastard not here? Now that the young masters of the three great clans are here, he still won't come, right? Qianqi, don't be too impulsive. Maybe he has something important to do? You should ask the others. Yu Dongxing frowned and calmly stopped Tang Qianqi from flying off the handle. Then, he secretly stared at him. This brat was too blind. Why did he scold people the moment he opened his mouth? Furthermore, he even deliberately brought out his own name so that others would think that he was the one who was bullying others with his power. Yu Dongxing was a person who was extremely concerned about his reputation. He was usually elegant and graceful. Although he secretly did shady business, he still had the demeanor of a gentleman to the outside world. He hated it when others used his name to intimidate others, for fear of ruining his reputation. Yes, Big Brother Dongxing is right. I was careless. Tang Qianqi was shocked. He quickly restrained his expression and smiled at Yu Dongxing embarrassedly. Tang Qianling glanced at Yu Dongxing and didn't say anything, but he was a little unhappy in his heart. I haven't even taught my men a lesson. Why are you overstepping your authority and teaching them a lesson? Tang Qianqi suppressed his anger and looked through the name list for a while before raising his head and asking expressionlessly, where are the people from the Xianyu sect? Come out and explain to me why Hong Dingrui didn't come to the assembly. It's best if he's dead or on the verge of death, unable to get out of bed. If he can't come up with a convincing reason, he'll be severely punished according to the rules. Our reporting, Lord Qianqi. I'm from the High Feather sect. Senior brother Hong Dingrui was beaten to death a few days ago. It was that man who did it. A young man hesitated for a moment before walking out from where the High Feather School disciples were standing. He pointed at Xiao Chen and shouted. What? Damn, you've got guts. I've already clearly warned you not to fight in private. Not only did you beat him up, but you even killed him? Tang Qianqi was instantly furious. Damn, I've finally accepted a mission to show off, but someone is undermining me. Among the cultivators who came here, which one of them didn't listen to his words? He didn't expect this guy to break the rules and ignore his words. Tang Qianqi looked in the direction of the young man's finger and realized that he was pointing at Xiao Chen. He was slightly stunned. He knew that Xiao Chen had brought quite a number of people with him. At this moment, he could only suppress his anger and ask through gritted teeth, what exactly is going on? Your name is Xiao Chen, right? You'd better give me a reasonable explanation. It's like this. Before Xiao Chen could speak, the young disciple rushed to say, a few days ago, Senior Brother Hong was chatting with us in the inn. We saw that this guy looked unfamiliar and wanted to chat and befriend him. We didn't expect him to be so arrogant. Not only did he speak ill of us, but he also slapped Senior Brother Hong and killed him. We wanted to reason with him, but we almost lost our lives. Xiao Chen had just said one word when the young disciple suddenly shouted, Junior brothers, quickly carry Senior Brother Hong out for Lord Qianqi to see. Let him be the judge. With the young disciple's shout, the crowd quickly split into two sides. The High Feather School disciples carried a stretcher out from the back. Hong Dingrui's corpse was on it. It was still emitting a slight stench, and it was obvious that it had started to rot. Tang Qianqi was originally standing far away. The young disciple grabbed him and pulled him towards Hong Dingrui. He said, Lord Qianqi, come and take a look. Senior Brother Hong died so tragically. When he went out, he didn't even have a complete corpse. Although it was a little disgusting, Tang Qianqi still couldn't help but look at Hong Dingrui's corpse. He saw that his head was a bloody mess, and his face was indistinguishable. Although it was placed together with his body, it was obvious that it had been split in the middle. Ugh! Many disciples saw this scene and ran to the side to vomit. The scene was a little chaotic. The young disciple took the opportunity to secretly stuff a bag into Tang Qianqi's hands. He even gave him a look. Then, his face fell, and he said in a tearful voice, "Boo-hoo! Lord Qianqi, 3 young masters, if you hadn't come today, we wouldn't have dared to complain. We were afraid that this guy would take revenge. Now that senior brother Hong's head is missing, and his corpse is still warm, the person involved is still out there. I hope that you can help us get justice." Other than the people from the High Feather School, who else can testify for you? Tang Qianqi wasn't stupid. He quickly grabbed the bag tightly and hid his hands in his wide sleeves. Then, he turned his gaze away and looked at the others in the square with a solemn expression. When it came to private fights, everyone had their reasons. As long as no one was killed, Tang Qianqi would choose to turn a blind eye to it. If someone took the initiative to complain and paid an arbitration fee, he would stand up and uphold justice for that person. However, it was a different matter if someone killed someone. Even if he didn't give any benefits, Tang Qianqi would still punish them. However, he usually tried to mediate and let the party who beat someone pay some money to settle the matter. After all, Tianyu Mine was currently short of manpower. Unless there was a major incident, he wouldn't easily disqualify someone. There were many people present at that time. Everyone can testify for us. The young disciple was delighted and hurriedly shouted. Tang Qianqi accepting the bag meant that there was a chance. However, what surprised him was that no one stood up immediately. Everyone present looked at each other and stared at each other. Chapter 997. That day, other than the disciples of the Xianyu sect, there were indeed people from other sects who went to look for Xiao Chen with Hong Dingrui. However, at this moment, they were all retreating. Xiao Chen's brutal methods that day had left a deep impression on them. They were afraid that Xiao Chen would take revenge on them if they stood up. Seeing that the situation was not right, the young disciple rolled his eyes and said loudly, "Everyone, don't be afraid. Since Master Qianqi and the 3 young masters are willing to stand up for us, then be brave and tell the truth. As long as the murderer is brought to justice, senior brother Hong will be able to rest in peace in heaven. We will also have one less threat in the future trials. Everyone can be happy." At this point, the young disciple's meaning was clear. As long as Xiao Chen was killed, those women would belong to everyone. At that time, the trial would be boring, and everyone would be able to find some fun together, right? Yu Dongsheng, Tang Qianling, and Jia Huiyin were a little confused. When did they agree to stand up for the Xianyu sect? Why was this kid talking to himself? However, they did not stop him. Instead, they stood there and watched the situation unfold. There were many people who used their names as flags. Now that this was a dispute in the outer martial arts world, there was no need for them to be in a hurry to clarify anything. They just needed to wait for Tang Qianqi to settle the matter. Our Qi Wuzong can testify that it was indeed that man who killed Hong Dingrui. If we hadn't run away quickly, I'm afraid we would have been silenced by him. Please, Master Qianling and the 3 young masters, uphold justice. Understanding the meaning of the Xianyu sect's disciple, Qi Wuzong and the others immediately became restless. A few of them pointed at Xiao Chen and said loudly, "Now that we have witnesses and evidence, what else do you have to say?" Tang Qianqi slowly walked in front of Xiao Chen. Just now, he had secretly squeezed the thing in his hand. It was a big bag of spirit jade, so he did not even think about it. He was prepared to kill Xiao Chen to make an example out of him. Don't you want to hear the reason why I killed him? Xiao Chen countered with a question. He really hadn't expected that Tang Qianqi would directly ask him to plead guilty without even asking for the reason. Tell me, did you kill him? Tang Qianqi pressed. Seeing Xiao Chen nod, he said fiercely, that's enough. No matter what your motive is, as long as you make a move, you will be punished. Oh, can I say dirty words? Xiao Chen looked at Tang Qianqi from the corner of his eyes. He clearly saw the young disciple's little trick just now, but he was too lazy to expose it. In any case, Tang Qianling would definitely not admit it even if he died. Jia Muzhen was right, these lackeys would do anything for the sake of benefits. Holy shit! You brat, you're about to die and you still dare to play tough with me? Tang Qianqi instantly jumped up and pointed at Xiao Chen. He waved his hand at the subordinates behind him and instructed, capture this kid. Lock him up in the Tang clan's prison and await the young master's judgment. Yes. Seeing the two big men walking towards him, Xiao Chen secretly frowned. He wanted to find a chance to go to the mine first, but now it seemed that it was impossible. However, Xiao Chen didn't take it to heart. Anyway, sooner or later, he would fall out with the Jia clan and Tang clan. At the worst, he would just break out in advance and think about it later. Just as he was about to take action, a figure suddenly stood in front of Xiao Chen and sneered, Tang Qianqi, you're just a lackey, and you want to punish your grandpa Jia's friend? Have you forgotten that I beat him until he cried for his mom and dad when he was a kid? You're Jia Muzhen. What are you doing here? Tang Qianqi was stunned. He originally wanted to curse, but after seeing that the person in front of him was Jia Muzhen, he subconsciously took 2 steps back and asked in a slightly panicked tone. The children of the 3 big families often played together when they were young. Jia Muzhen was a childhood shadow for Tang Qianqi. Every time he recalled the scene of him being beaten up as a child, he would always have a lingering fear. Because he was too playful, Tang Qianqi didn't focus on cultivation since he was young. Moreover, he was the son of a concubine, so he had no status in the family. With a slightly twisted mentality, he often bullied children who were smaller than him. Jia Muzhen was one of them. However, ever since Jia Muzhen had broken through and become a martial artist, Tang Qianqi no longer had any advantages. Whenever he ran into Jia Muzhen, he would be beaten black and blue, so much so that he would take a detour whenever he saw Jia Muzhen. Why can't it be me? Who said that I can't participate in the trial? Jia Muzhen said calmly. He originally didn't want to expose his identity, but seeing that Xiao Chen was in trouble, he couldn't just sit back and do nothing. This. Tang Qianqi's expression was a little ugly. He turned to look at Tang Qianling, obviously wanting to ask him for help. Ha ha ha, you also want to participate in the trial? Tang Qianling was just about to speak when Jia Huiyan walked over with a sneer, fine. Then you can go. Ha ha ha, when the time comes, I will let all the Jia family members come and watch. Let's see how miserable the fate of those who oppose me will be. A dignified disciple of the Jia family has been reduced to a laborer. Previously, I have been busy with the trial and didn't have time to deal with you. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to my door. Previously, when he was in the Jia family, Jia Huiyan couldn't stand Jia Muzhen. Jia Muzhen was a son of a concubine, but his cultivation talent was quite high. Jia Huiyan originally wanted to rope him in and make him his right-hand man. He didn't expect that this kid would refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit and always go against him. Jia Huiyan couldn't stand it and targeted him everywhere. Every time he saw him, he would mock and ridicule him. As a result, Jia Muzhen couldn't stand it and actually secretly ran away from the Jia family. It just so happened that the trial mission was issued at that time. Jia Huiyan was busy with related matters all day long. Moreover, before he became the family head, his resources and manpower were limited. Therefore, he didn't have time to find trouble with Jia Muzhen. Humph. What? You still want to use public office to take revenge? Jia Muzhen coldly snorted and didn't even look at Jia Huiyan. He was very clear about Jia Huiyan's despicable methods, so he couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense. Ha ha ha, use public office to take revenge? You're too naive. Of course, I won't do that. Jia Huiyan laughed insolently and said sarcastically, originally, since you betrayed the family, I could kill you right now. However, since you want to lose face so much, I'll let you live. Go to the heavenly jade mine and make a fool of yourself. Seeing that Jia Huiyan was dealing with the family's internal affairs, Tang Qianling and Yu Dongsheng didn't interrupt. They only sneered and glanced at Jia Muzhen and the others. However, as Tang Qianling looked and looked, he suddenly discovered a familiar figure in the crowd. Tang Qianling's eyes narrowed, and he subconsciously widened his eyes. After taking a closer look, he suddenly pointed at Tian Souring and shouted, Tang Souring. Come out right now. Tian Souring, who was originally a little distracted, suddenly trembled in fear. She didn't expect that she would be recognized. In a panic, she hurriedly hid behind Xiao Chen. Chapter 998. When Jia Huiyan heard this, he followed Tang Qianling's gaze and looked into the crowd. He happened to see Tian Souring trying to avoid him. His expression changed and he strode over. Souring Corner, what are you doing here? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Hurry up and follow me back to the Jia family. Jia Huiyan shouted angrily as he reached out to grab Tian Souring. Sister Souring is not leaving. I am here to participate in the trial. What right do you have to take me away? Are you going to break the rules? Tian Souring dodged Jia Huiyan's hand and continued to hide behind Xiao Chen. She cautiously stuck out her head to protest. Jia Huiyan was stunned for a moment. This Tian Souring was right. If he were to take her away in public, others would definitely complain. If someone harbored ulterior motives and reported him to the family, he would be in trouble. Jia Huiyan was stunned for a moment. Although Jia Huiyan was already the heir to the Jia family, he knew that the family had invested a lot of effort into this trial mission. They valued these cannon fodder very much. Otherwise, they would not have sent the three of them. After all, it was not easy to gather more than 100 people. He had spent so much energy, but in the end, he failed because of a woman. Not to mention becoming the heir, he would probably be banished to the cold palace. Jia Huiyan's expression turned ugly. Was he going to let Tang Souring Corner off just like that? Forget it. Since they were willing to work in the mine, he would secretly arrange a more dangerous position for them in the mine. When she was afraid or in danger, he would rescue her. Let's see if this stubborn girl would still obediently go back with him. After the plan was decided, Jia Huiyan looked at Tian Souring without batting an eyelid. He turned around and waved his hand. He shouted impatiently at the Xuanyu sect disciples, all right, hurry up and line up. Don't talk nonsense. That Hong whatever is dead, so be it. How did he die? I didn't see it. This. The young disciple was dumbfounded. Why was the script different from what he had imagined? He looked at Tang Qianqi with a bitter expression. In the end, he realized that Tang Qianqi was listening respectfully with his head lowered. He had no intention of speaking up for him. What are you talking about? If you want to complain, go ahead. Since no one will care, let's go to the mine. Jia Huiyan coldly snorted and glared at him. If you feel wronged and don't want to go, you can hug that headless corpse to sleep every day. The young man was also very helpless and could only obediently line up. He was very shocked. No wonder that group of people were so arrogant and fearless when they killed people. It turned out that there were 2 people who had run away from the Wulin family. It seemed like this matter could only be dropped. In the future, he could only hope that they wouldn't come looking for trouble with him. That would be great luck and he would thank the heavens. Alas, what a waste of my bag of spiritual jades. After the roll call, everyone packed up and left the inn, heading out of the town. Along the way, Tang Qianling and Jia Huiyan stared at Xiao Chen and the others with malicious intent. They even gathered together and whispered to each other, seemingly discussing something. From time to time, they would let out ambiguous laughter, but they did not take the initiative to cause trouble for them. When the group of more than 100 people walked along the main road for more than half an hour and were about to walk out of the town, they suddenly saw an 8-wheeled truck parked on the side of the road. Moreover, the truck was covered with a thick tarpaulin, presumably to shelter it from the wind and rain. Seeing Tang Qianqi and the others walking in the direction of the truck, the originally quiet group suddenly burst into an uproar. Oh my God, how can there be such a big truck in the Wulin? Is there a car factory here? I don't know. Are we going to take this truck to the mine? This is basically transporting livestock. Isn't this too exaggerated? At least get a bus. We are all the elites of the Wulin sections. How can we take a truck? Many people in the crowd were talking about it. None of them were very willing to take such a truck. Their dissatisfaction was obvious, especially Cheng Menjing, Tian Souring, and the others. Their eyebrows were almost wrinkled to the sky. Xiao Chen was also a little shocked. These days, he had been walking around the inn, but he had not even seen a small car. He did not expect to see such a big truck that was specially used to transport sand and stones. How did such a huge thing pass through the teleportation circle? What are you arguing about? Are you all stupid? Have you never seen a big truck before? Hurry up and line up. Tang Qianqi slapped the truck's cargo compartment and shouted angrily. Then, he ran to a commercial vehicle in front of him and respectfully opened the door. He let Tang Qianling, Yu Dongsheng, and Jia Huiyan get in, and he sat in the front passenger seat. There seemed to be a driver sitting in the front of the truck, but because the position was too high, he could not see who the driver was. Xiao Chen used his divine sense to observe and found that it was just a big man with a fierce face. He was probably a disciple of one of the 3 big families. Everyone looked at Tang Qianqi's fawning face. Although they were cursing in their hearts, they could not do anything to him. In the end, they had no choice but to get on the big truck in order. Although the truck's cargo compartment was very big, like the trucks of the secular world's moving companies, it was still very cramped with so many people squeezing in at once. However, after getting on the truck, everyone consciously made a small circle for Xiao Chen and the others. They would rather die than get close to them. First of all, Xiao Chen was a ruthless character who killed people easily. Secondly, the other 2 were also from the big families of the inner martial arts world. Regardless of the internal conflicts between them, their identities were also high and mighty. Therefore, no one wanted to have a conflict with Xiao Chen and the others. They just wanted to stay far away, hoping that they could reach the mine safely, and then go their own way and have nothing to do with each other. Xiao Chen looked around and saw that the truck's compartment was tightly wrapped with black cloth. There was no gap, and no scenery outside could be seen. He immediately guessed that the direction of the truck must be to the mine, but they did not want them to see the route. These guys were really careful. Even in the inner martial arts world, the location of the mine would not be easily known by others. It was estimated that the current measures were also to prevent them from talking or running away. However, this black cloth could block others, but it could not block Xiao Chen. Although it was dark all around, he could still see the general route with his divine sense and silently remember it in his heart. After the truck drove for a few hours, Xiao Chen finally understood why they had to use a large truck to transport people. It was because the road was full of potholes, ordinary vehicles really couldn't pass through. Cheng Menjing and the other girls were about to vomit from the jolting. They could only firmly hold onto Xiao Chen's arm to prevent themselves from flying out. The big truck drove for 3 days and 3 nights. During this period, except for stopping once in the morning, noon and evening to let everyone go to the wild to relieve themselves, to distribute some pastries such as steamed buns and flour rolls to fill their stomachs, and to moisten their throats with a bottle of mineral water, the rest of the time was on the road, even at night. Chapter 999. Due to the strong bumps, some low-level cultivators couldn't sleep even if they wanted to. Their eyes were like panda eyes, and they looked haggard. On the morning of the 4th day, the truck finally stopped at the entrance of the Tianyu mine. Everyone got out of the truck. Except for a few high-level cultivators, the low-level ones were all squatting on the side of the road and vomiting. This was their routine every morning since they got on the truck. "Stand up, all of you. Stop putting on an act and wasting my time." Tang Qianqi jumped out of the commercial vehicle and rushed to the people squatting on the side of the road. He kicked their butts one by one and scolded, "Useless things. You've only been in the truck for a few days, and you've already vomited like this. You're all useless." Those people staggered from the kick and almost fell into the grass on the side of the road, but they did not dare to complain. They could only secretly glare at Tang Qianqi, then weakly stood up and lined up to wait for instructions. Tang Qianqi glanced at the team and said loudly, "Well, now that we've arrived at the mine, I'll explain the rules to you. In fact, it's very simple. Everyone will enter this mine to collect spiritual jades for a month. You must collect at least 10 pieces of spiritual jades, and then you can come out to gather. Do you understand?" "Got it," Xiaofan dragged out his voice, pinching his nose as he replied in a strange tone. "Pfft." Many people couldn't help but snicker. They felt that Xiaofan's teasing attitude was very satisfying. They had been suppressed by Tang Qianqi for too long, and they especially hoped that someone could fight against him. It didn't matter even if it was a murderous demon like Xiaofan. "Brat. Don't be complacent. After you go in, you'll suffer." Tang Qianqi was furious, but he couldn't do anything to Xiaofan. He could only yell at the others bitterly, "What are you laughing at? Hurry up and go to the gate to get a month's worth of food and mining equipment. Then get in and start working immediately." Xiaofan and the others received their items according to the instructions. In fact, it was just a backpack with some simple food like compressed biscuits, a few large bottles of mineral water, a pickaxe for mining, and an electronic device. There was nothing else. The electronic device was also very simple. There was a red button on it. In an emergency, the user could press the button and send out a distress signal. It wouldn't be long before someone came to the place where the signal was sent to rescue them. Although these fellows were treated as cannon fodder and no one cared about their lives, it was not easy to recruit them. One dead meant one less, so the 3 great clans would try their best to avoid unnecessary losses. Tang Qianqi explained the use of the electronic equipment and gave a few more instructions before sending everyone in. He turned around and boarded the MPV, leaving the Tianyu mine. After walking into the mine, everyone dispersed. Xiaofan stood in the same place and looked at the desolate scene around him. He felt a little strange. How did this look like a mine? Why wasn't there even a single person? He had thought that there would be a lot of people mining nearby, but the situation was the complete opposite. The surroundings were desolate. "Mu-san, what's going on? Let alone the mine, we can't even see a shadow of a person. Is that brat Tang Qianqi playing with us?" Xiaofan frowned and suddenly wanted to turn around and rush out to catch Tang Qianqi and teach him a lesson. That's right, this is indeed the Tianyu mine. Jia Musen had been here a few times before, so he had some impression of it. He nodded, but his expression was a little unhappy. Then why? Jia Musen knew what Xiaofan meant and explained bitterly, "The reason why there is no one is because our location is not the main mining area. This is the periphery of the Tianyu mine. Not only is it dangerous, but the distribution of spiritual jades is also very sparse. The Jia family's mining team will not come here at all. Not only is it troublesome to mine, but it is also difficult to manage. The key is that the value is very low. TSK, it seems that our group has been treated as cannon fodder. That distress device is probably useless. I reckon that by the time someone comes to rescue us, we will already be dead. They will just collect our corpses and be done with it. Xiaofan suddenly realized that his father must be in the mining team. He continued to ask, by the way, which direction is the main mining area? Let me see. Oh, it's in that direction. I reckon it's about a few hundred kilometers away from us. Jia Muzin looked around and said, pointing to the east. Xiaofan nodded and strode to the east. Jia Muzin and the others did not dare to be too far away from him. After all, his cultivation was the highest. Even if they encountered trouble, he would be able to respond immediately. As for the other people, they had already gone off to mine the spirit jades. Although there were more than 100 of them, they were scattered in the periphery of the mine. They were as inconspicuous as sand in a desert. No one paid any attention to where Xiaofan and the others went. Xiaofan, are we really going to mine? I thought you would take the opportunity to escape with us. I didn't expect you to really come in. After walking for a while, Jia Muzin could not help but ask in surprise. On the way here, he was wondering when Xiaofan was going to escape. In the end, Xiaofan actually went straight into the mine and went in the direction of the main mining area. Actually, I have a reason to come in. I suspect that my father has been captured here, so I have to go to the main mining area and rescue him. Xiaofan smiled helplessly. He turned his head and patted Jia Muzin's shoulder, saying, how about this, you and Menjing stay at the entrance and wait for me to come back. It's safer here. After I rescue my father, I will immediately meet up with you guys, and then we will find a way to escape. How can that be? Jia Muzin rejected. If you want to go to the main mining area from here, there is no need to say more about the dangers in the middle. It is too difficult for you to walk alone. I will never let you go alone. How about this, I will go with you, and the girls will stay behind and wait. However, Jia Muzin finally understood why Xiaofan insisted on coming to the mine and why he wanted to go to the main mine at all costs. No way, no way. Sister Sour doesn't want to stay in this godforsaken place. It is not safe at all. If you leave, Xiaofan, what if Tang Qianling and Jia Huiyan come looking for trouble? Four Eyes can't beat them. Tian Sour also shook her head. It was not easy for her to escape from the Jia family. Naturally, she did not want to be captured again. If Xiaofan left, she would lose her only support. Xiaofan, I also don't agree with your decision. Although I know that you are doing this for our own good, since we are already here, let's not separate anymore. Let's continue walking together. Let's work hard to find Uncle Xiao and escape from this place. Cheng Menjing held on to Xiaofan's arm and said resolutely. Her resolute attitude was completely different from the spoiled and willful young miss of the past. Chapter 1000. That's right. Since he's your father, he'll definitely become Qin Shui's and my father in the future. Of course, we'll go with you to save him. Otherwise, it won't make sense. Ling hugged Ling Qinshue's slender waist and asked with a smile, Qinshui, am I right? Along the way, even though Linger was still a little uncertain about her identity, she had already let down her guard and played around with the other girls. In addition to that, she and Ling Qinshui accompanied Xiaofan to have fun together, so she felt an inexplicable closeness to Ling Qinshui. Yes. Although Ling Qinshui's expression was gentle and shy, she still nodded without any hesitation. Alright, since everyone says so, let's go together. Xiaofan felt everyone's trust and dependence. He was touched and immediately agreed. Xiaofan also did not expect that everyone would speak in unison and be so determined. Since he could not convince them, he might as well go together. After all, he did not feel at ease leaving them all in this place. Let's go. Sister Sour is going to see my future father-in-law. Tian Sour cheered and turned to leave. Wait. Xiaofan did not know whether to laugh or cry as he stopped Tian Sour. Are you really going to walk there? There are so many of us, we can just fly there on our flying swords. But we need to find some spiritual jades first so that I can replenish my strength on the way. After deciding on their target, Xiaofan led the group east. As he carefully observed the surroundings, he frowned and said, Xiaofan, it's not that I want to say this, but spirit jades in the wild are not easy to find. Oh? Is it because they're very sparsely distributed? Xiaofan asked. Not only are they sparsely distributed, but there are also dangerous ferocious beasts guarding the vicinity of every spirit jade mine. Xiaofan patiently explained, there are many animals living in the heavenly jade mine. Some of them feed on spirit jade soul essences all year round. Not only do they have strong bodies and boundless strength, they can even mutate and evolve into terrifying creatures. Even a perfect martial king would fear them. Therefore, no one dares to wander around outside. In other words, there are so many spirit jades in the main mine. Isn't that even more dangerous? Asked a surprised Xiaofan. The main mining area has already been cleaned up by the cultivators from the various sects and clans. Therefore, it is very safe now. Occasionally, some lone wild beasts would come out to attack. However, because there are many people mining, there are also many guards. Therefore, they are quickly killed off, Xiaofan explained. Oh, that's good. Otherwise, when the time comes, we will not only have to deal with the guards, but also have to pay attention to the wild. Before Xiaofan could finish his sentence, he heard Tian Wangchuan suddenly exclaim from behind him. Ah! As Tian Suruan walked, she felt her feet go soft. A hole suddenly appeared on the originally flat ground. Before she could react, her whole body sank into the hole, and the lower half of her body was stuck in it. The few girls around her were also shocked. Linger was quick to react and grabbed onto Tian Suruan. The others quickly ran over to hold her back. Suruan! Xiaofan shouted and rushed over. He grabbed Tian Suruan's arm and tried to pull her out. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move her. Xiaofan, hurry! Hurry up and save Sister Suruan. I am stuck in this hole and can't breathe. Tian Suruan struggled with all her might. Her face was a little red from the suffocation. This hole is too small. Don't struggle first. Otherwise, it will be easier for you to sink in. I will try to pull you out, said Xiaofan in a deep voice. Tian Suruan was silent for a moment. Suddenly, she felt something beneath her feet was pulling her into the hole. She immediately turned pale with fright and shouted, "There's something down there. There's a monster in the hole. It's grabbing my leg. It's pulling me down. Holy sh*t. What is this thing?" Xiaofan released his divine sense and found that there was a six-legged black monster in the hole. Its two front legs were tightly holding onto Tian Suruan's calf, and it kept dragging her into the hole. At this moment, Xiaofan had also arrived. When he heard Tian Suruan's words, he carefully looked at the hole that she had sunk into. His expression changed. There must be a giant demon spider inside. It likes to stay in this kind of hole. Giant demon spider? What the hell is that? Sister Suruan, why do you sound so scared? Tian Suruan's expression was a little fearful. She felt the force that was continuously pulling her in. Goosebumps rose all over her body. Xiaofan didn't have time to answer her. He immediately took out his pickaxe from his bag and said decisively, "Xiaofan, the hole gets smaller the deeper you go. Tian Suruan's leg must be stuck down there. Furthermore, she has been grabbed by the demon spider. You won't be able to pull her up in a short period of time. How about this? I will first dig a hole from the side. Then, we will kill the demon spider. Only then can you pull her up. Let's do as you say. Menjiang, Qianxue, Ling Er, come and hold Suruan's hand. Don't let her get dragged down. I will go and help Jia Muzhen dig a hole. Xiao Chen quickly assigned the tasks. The three girls agreed and held Tian Suruan's hand tightly. They even spoke softly to comfort her. At this time, Xiao Chen also took out his pickaxe. After determining the position of Tian Suruan's body, he bent down and started digging with Jia Muzhen. Unexpectedly, the ground here was very hard. Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen spent a lot of effort to dig a small hole. They could not keep up with the speed of Tian Suruan sinking. Xiao Chen originally wanted to circulate his Yuan Qi and directly blast a hole. However, he was afraid that it would be too close to Tian Suruan. It would be troublesome if he accidentally hurt Tian Suruan. If he was too far away, it would be useless. Clang! The sound of metal breaking could be heard. Jia Muzhen's pickaxe was directly broken. He did not complain and immediately threw it to the side. He changed to a new one and continued to dig. Xiao Chen, hurry up. I feel that Suruan can't hold on any longer. Cheng Menjing saw the progress of Xiao Chen and the others. She could not help but anxiously urge them. Tian Suruan's face was deathly pale. She was already in so much pain that she could not speak. The hole was really too small. Half of her body was stuck in it. In addition, the giant demon spider was constantly dragging her in, so she could not breathe smoothly. Xiao Chen, I don't even know what to say to you. If you continue to dig so slowly, even if that little girl is not eaten by the demon spider, she will suffocate to death. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice suddenly sounded. Then what should we do? This ground cannot be dug at all. Xiao Chen turned around and looked at Tian Suruan. He was also very anxious. Are you stupid? You know that the ground is very hard. Can't you just inject Yuan Qi into the pickaxe to dig? Elder Heaven Ancestor lectured. Chapter 1001. Oh, that's right. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was suddenly enlightened. He hurriedly revolved his mental cultivation method and condensed the essence in his body into the pickaxe. As he dug into the ground, he immediately felt a lot more relaxed, as if he was digging tofu. When Jia Muzhen turned his head and saw this scene, he didn't think much of it. He thought that Xiao Chen was forced to use the strength of a supremacy, which was why he could dig so quickly. Not long after, Xiao Chen and Jia Muzhen dug a hole in the ground. With the faint light from outside the hole, Xiao Chen clearly saw a terrifying giant spider grabbing Tian Suruan's leg and struggling to drag her into the depths of the cave. Creak! At the same time that Xiao Chen looked inside, the giant demon spider also discovered his existence. It suddenly roared and opened its mouth to spit a dark green liquid at Xiao Chen. Be careful, this liquid is highly toxic. Don't get sprayed. Jia Muzhen, who was behind Xiao Chen, had sharp eyes and quickly warned him. Bang! The sound of a strong acid melting something could be heard. Jia Muzhen thought that Xiao Chen didn't have time to dodge and was sprayed by the venom. He immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Just as he was about to reach out to drag Xiao Chen, Jia Muzhen saw him casually wave his hand, and a huge fireball quickly flew towards the giant demon spider. Creak creak creak. Caught off guard, the giant demon spider was burned by the fireball. It let out a painful scream and was quickly engulfed by the flames. However, it still didn't give up. Before it died, it bit Tian Suruan's leg, wanting to perish together with this human. Ah! It hurts so much. Xiao Chen, quickly kill that thing. Tian Souring suddenly felt a bone-deep pain in her leg. Her face was distorted from the pain. She kicked with all her strength, wanting to shake off the giant demon spider, but it was to no avail. The demon spider seemed to know that it didn't have long to live. It used all its strength and firmly bit Tian Souring's leg. Motherf *Ker, do you want to drag someone down with you before you die? Xiao Chen was infuriated. With a fling of his hand, he threw away the pickaxe that had been mostly dissolved by the venom. With large strides, he pried open the giant demon spider's mouth with his bare hands. Then, he forcefully kicked it to the ground. Circulating his yuan qi, he heavily smacked it with his palm. Bang! With a muffled sound, the giant demonic spider was blasted into a bloody mess. Its entire body split apart, and then it was immediately burned to ashes by the flames, leaving nothing behind. At this moment, Jia Muzhen also rushed over. Seeing that only the wooden handle of the pickaxe was left, he quietly heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Xiao Chen's reaction was quite fast. He knew to use the pickaxe to block the venom. Otherwise, he was afraid that it would have also been dissolved. Seeing that the giant demon spider was as dead as a doornail, the two of them returned to the ground. Xiao Chen and the girls went over to pull Tian Souring out. Phew! Sister Souring was scared to death. I haven't even pushed you down yet. If I were to be eaten in this place, then Sister Souring would have suffered a great loss. Tian Souring was dragged out. She sat on the ground and patted her chest, still in a state of shock. Everyone expressed their speechlessness towards Tian Souring. However, Xiao Chen did not make a sound. That was because he had suddenly discovered a very bad situation. After Tian Souring was pulled up, she had been sitting on the ground and had not stood up at all. Souring, does your calf still hurt? Xiao Chen frowned as he squatted down. He stretched out his hand to lift up Tian Souring's pant leg. He carefully observed the wound on her calf and asked with a serious expression. It doesn't hurt anymore. When I was bitten just now, I felt a piercing pain. Sister Souring thought that I would die from the pain. But it's alright now. It's numb and numb. There shouldn't be any problems. Tian Souring replied indifferently. She turned around and suddenly realized that Xiao Chen was forcefully pressing on the wound on her calf. She immediately had a look of surprise on her face. When did you touch my wound? Why didn't I feel anything at all? At this moment, Jia Muzhen also realized that something was amiss. He squatted down to observe the wound and immediately made a judgment. Souring, you have been poisoned by the giant demonic spider. This. How could this be? Sister Souring will still die? Tian Souring turned pale with fright. Could it be that she had not been eaten by the demonic spider but was going to die from the poison? I won't die. Jia Muzhen shook his head. However, this kind of poison will gradually destroy the central nervous system in the human body. At the beginning, it will be extremely painful. Then, slowly, you will lose all feeling. When the poison has completely taken effect, you will become a paralyzed person, then. Then what should we do? Sister Souring is still so young. She doesn't want to be paralyzed in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Xiao Chang. Hurry up and think of a way. Where can we get the antidote? Tian Souring was so anxious that she was about to cry. The Jia family does have the antidote. However, this trip. There definitely won't be enough time. Sigh. Jia Muzhen stood up and paced back and forth. He sighed in frustration. Souring, don't be anxious. Relax. Otherwise, it will speed up your blood circulation and the poison will reach your heart faster. Seeing Tian Suruan's lips gradually turning purple and her face turning ashen, Xiaochen was also very anxious. However, he could not find a way to deal with it. Just now, Xiaochen had already tried to use his primordial energy to neutralize the poison in Tian Suruan's body. However, it did not have any effect at all. It could only slow down the speed at which the poison approached her heart and buy her some time. Elder Heaven Ancestor, do you have any way to save her? Being at his wit's end, Xiaochen could only seek help from the Elder Heaven Ancestor. I am also at my wit's end. I can't even neutralize the pure primordial energy in your body. I think there is no other way other than the antidote, the Elder Heaven Ancestor replied helplessly. It can't be. If I am accidentally poisoned in the future, wouldn't I be paralyzed without the antidote? Xiaochen was so depressed that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. How is that possible? You are a cultivator. Your physique is originally completely different from ordinary cultivators. As long as you spend some time, you will be able to neutralize the poison. In the end, it will even become primordial energy, the Elder Heaven Ancestor refuted. This. Xiaochen did not know whether to be happy or worried. Suddenly, he heard Tian Suruan murmur, so sleepy. Sister Suruan feels so tired. Let Sister Suruan sleep first. Suruan, don't sleep. Wake up. Xiaochen was shocked. He hurriedly shook Tian Suruan's arm. However, he could only watch helplessly as she closed her eyes in his arms. He could not help but shout, Suruan. Xiaochen, don't be nervous. She should have just fainted from the poison. We have to quickly think of a way to find the antidote, Jia Muzan, who was beside Xiaochen, said in a low voice. Just as Xiaochen was about to speak, they suddenly heard the roar of an engine coming from afar. Everyone looked up and saw a modified black off-road vehicle speeding toward them not far away. Found them. They are all here. As soon as the door opened, Jia Huiyan and Tang Qianling nimbly jumped out of the car. They quickly ran toward where everyone was. Tang Qianqi also got out of the car from the driver's side. Chapter 1002. Jia Huiyan had just run a few steps when his sharp eyes spotted the unconscious Tian Suruan, whose eyes were tightly shut. His pale complexion was a clear sign that he had been poisoned. Jia Huiyan's expression immediately changed as he shouted at Xiaochen, "Take your dirty hands off Souring Horn. Let me handle this." "Oh? You have the antidote?" Xiaochen looked at Jia Huiyan and asked sternly. "I don't have the antidote, but—" Before Jia Huiyan could finish his sentence, Xiaochen interrupted him with a wave of his hand. "How are you going to cure the poison if you don't have the antidote? Go play somewhere else." Xiaochen was very impatient. In his opinion, Jia Huiyan must be taking the opportunity to capture Tian Suruan. The antidote was just an excuse. "What do you know? We have special medicine with us. Once Suruan takes it, he will be able to fight poison with poison." Tang Qianling, who was standing beside Jia Huiyan, shouted discontentedly. Xiaochen frowned. "What nonsense are you talking about? Special medicine? Suruan will die from eating it later. Get lost if you have nothing else to do. Don't cause trouble here." "Hee hee." Tang Qianling crossed his arms in front of his chest and said with a fake smile, "Country bumpkin, you still don't know? Our Tang family is best at refining poison. We are also very knowledgeable about poison. The medicine I brought will definitely not kill you. Not only will you not die, but you can also cultivate a divine skill if you take it. Young Master Ling wants to cure the poison. This is a great favor. Not only are you not grateful, you actually want to chase him away. You really don't know what's good for you." Tang Qianqi chimed in from behind. Xiaochen glanced at him coldly. Just as he was about to chase him away, he suddenly felt Tian Suruan move in his arms. He suddenly lowered his head. Tian Suruan's eyelashes trembled slightly as she slowly woke up. She looked around blankly and asked in a daze, Is this heaven? Why does it look so familiar, Xiao Chang? Could it be that Sister Suruan is still alive? Suruan. Are you alright now? Xiao Chen was overjoyed. He looked at Tian Sauer's face. His complexion seemed to be much better than before. Even though Tian Suruan was not a good person, she was kind and straightforward. She was deeply in love with him. Xiao Chen did not want to see anything happen to her. Look! Our Tang family's bloodline has the ability to detoxify toxins. She woke up on her own. Tang Qianling's eyes flashed with a trace of doubt when he saw this, but he still took the opportunity to show off. Tang! Why are you here? Xiao Chang, let's run. Tian Suruan looked up and saw Tang Qianling. He was shocked and pulled Xiao Chen, wanting to run. Tang Qianling ignored Tian Sauer's reaction and said in a solemn voice, Sauer Horn, come with me to the Tang family. The lost divine art of our clan has been found, and it has also been tested. It seems that there are no problems with others cultivating it. You can also cultivate it. What? Have you found the 5 Poisons secret manual? Tian Suruan, who was initially panicking, was shocked. He stared at Tang Qianling with widened eyes, his face filled with disbelief. Of course. With our Tang family's strength, how difficult would it be to find a secret manual? Tang Qianling waved his hand nonchalantly. Although it was in front of Xiao Chen and the rest, Tang Qianling did not mind. From his point of view, these people were basically dead people. There was no way for them to spread the news. Actually, this 5 Poisons secret manual was something that Tang Qianling wanted to cultivate himself. Although someone had already tested it, he still felt that it was not safe enough. Hence, he wanted to bring Tian Suruan back to do this experiment. Moreover, he only planned to take out the first half of the 5 Poisons secret manual and let Tian Suruan cultivate it. After they had successfully cultivated it, he would take out the entire manual and cultivate it. Then, he would be able to achieve great success in this divine art. Hence, the poison that he had planned to give Tian Suruan would not be able to fight poison with poison. Instead, it would slow down the toxicity of Tian Suruan's body and then suddenly erupt. When that happened, she would have to rely on cultivating the 5 Poisons secret manual to detoxify the poison. It was perfect for the experiment. Unexpectedly, the poison resistance gene in Tian Suruan's body was activated. Although the Tang family's bloodline had the ability to detoxify poison, this gene would only be automatically activated when one reached the martial master level. Hence, Tang Qianling was very surprised. After all, he remembered that when Tian Suruan ran away from home, she was only a martial artist level 1. He did not expect that after staying in the secular world for a few years, she had already reached such a high level. Brother Qianling, from what you said, someone in the Tang family has already tested that secret manual? I wonder how the effect is. Jia Huiyan, who was standing at the side with his arms crossed, suddenly asked. He seemed to be very interested in the 5 Poisons secret manual. Of course the effect is great. Currently, no one in the Tang family has cultivated it. However, the Tang family's subsidiary sect in the martial world happened to capture a person with the same physique from the secular world and successfully tested it. Although that person's strength is not high, he can easily defeat a Demon King level expert. Tang Qianling was very proud of himself, his saliva flying everywhere. Then I really have to congratulate Brother Qianling. From now on, the Tang family has another poison expert. Jia Huiyan flattered with a face full of envy. The little girl who did the experiment is also a beauty. Tang Qianling rolled his eyes and laughed evilly. He patted Jia Huiyan's shoulder and said, "Since you are so interested, when the time comes, I will make the decision and marry her to you as a concubine. But the family can't not give any benefits." "Oh? Really?" Jia Huiyan's eyes lit up. He quickly patted his chest and said, "Big brother Tang, since you're so loyal, I can't just accept it like this. How about this, when I get the position of young patriarch, I'll give big brother some more spiritual jades. It'll be just enough for one more quota." "Huh, brother Jia is really straightforward. Then I will thank you in advance." Tang Qianling was overjoyed and hurriedly settled this matter. Only then did he reveal his objective. "But brother, I'll tell you the truth. Actually, I'm quite concerned about that foreign aid expert. After your family's competition is over, can you return him to me?" Jia Huiyan nodded repeatedly and said, "That is not a problem. After I am done with that expert, I will return him to your side. Anyway, you have given me a beautiful girl, and she is also a poison expert. Naturally, I will not take away what you love. And then we have a deal." Tang Qianling and Jia Huiyan were very satisfied with the transaction. Shao Chen looked at the two of them standing there and saying wretched words unscrupulously. In his heart, he suddenly felt some sympathy for Tian Suruan. The dignified disciples of the three big families in the martial world, what kind of quality are they? It is not too much even if you beat them to death. No wonder Tian Suruan wanted to run away from the marriage. Chapter 1003. Although Shao Chen's expression was full of disdain, Tang Qianling and Jia Huiyan did not care about him at all. They were still standing there, talking cheerfully and wittily, as if Shao Chen and the others did not exist. "Are you done with your nonsense? If you are, then get lost. Do you want me to send you on your way?" Seeing that Jia Huiyan and the others were chatting endlessly, Shao Chen simply interrupted them. He stared at Tang Qianling and Jia Huiyan as if he was looking at dead men. The killing intent in his eyes was fleeting. "Brat, previously when we were outside, we did not dare to touch you. Now that we are in the territory of the Jia clan, you still dare to act arrogantly? Is your brain flooded with water?" Jia Huiyan was a little surprised. Is this Shao Chen a fool who has never seen the world? At this time, he is still talking glibly with us. "That's right. We are keeping you alive only because you can help us mine the spiritual jades. Do you really think that we do not dare to kill you?" Tang Qianling raised his eyebrows and said with a face full of disdain. He felt that Shao Chen was only glib and did not have any real ability. "Young Master Ling, young Master Yan, I think the two of you do not need to talk nonsense with that brat. Apart from talking glibly, he does not have any ability. It is better for me to beat him up." Tang Qianqi had long been unhappy with Shao Chen's arrogant manner. He quickly rolled up his sleeves and prepared to teach Shao Chen a lesson. "He do not have any ability? I am not afraid to tell you that I am the external help that Jia Muzhen found. I am preparing to participate in the Jia clan's competition in a few days. How about it?" Shao Chen carefully helped Tian Suruan to the side of Cheng Menjing and said with a smile that was not a smile. "Ha ha 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 ha. Did I hear it wrong? I am dying of laughter. This is the funniest joke I have ever heard in my life." Jia Huiyan convulsed with laughter. "A bastard like Jia Muzhen wants to defeat me? I see that you have not taken your medicine today, right? How could you say such whimsical nonsense?" Jia Muzhen clenched his fists tightly and his face turned ashen. However, Jia Huiyan did not care. He felt that Shao Chen was no longer a fool, but a complete psychopath. Shao Chen snorted and said sarcastically, "You guys should enjoy a few more days of happiness while you still have some time. After Jia Muzhen becomes the successor, I'm afraid you can only wash your chrysanthemums clean and wait, hee. Humph, with your behavior, you still want to help others participate in the Jia clan's tournament? You can't even defeat Qian Qi, let alone the experts I sent to Huiyan. Tang Qianling sneered as he turned to Tang Qianqi and said, Qianqi, since this kid doesn't know his place, go and teach him a lesson. Let him know that our three families can't be offended by any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Yes, sir. I have been wanting to deal with him for a long time. Tang Qianqi's spirit was roused. He impatiently circulated his mental cultivation method and displayed the strength of a ninth-layer martial general. He cracked his knuckles as if he was trying to act cool. He turned his neck and slowly walked towards Xiaochen. Oh, so powerful. Peak level 9 martial general. Xiaochen opened his mouth in surprise and yawned. With a mocking expression, he said, I say, are your fingers suffering from arthritis? If you are sick, go and see a doctor, or let me treat you. Forget it, I am afraid you cannot afford the consultation fee. Let it continue ringing. Kid, you are seeking death. Tang Qianqi was furious. He was the most stingy person in his life and loved money as much as his life. However, he hated it when people called him stingy. Now that Xiaochen had touched his bottom line, he immediately exploded. Although Tang Qianqi was a member of the Tang clan, he was only a concubine's son. He did not have the right to learn how to use poison. Therefore, he directly flew over and punched at Xiaochen's face. Whoosh! The sound of wind breaking rang out. Tang Qianqi had used all his strength and was confident that he could beat Xiaochen to a pulp. He did not expect that his fist would miss. All that was left in front of him was Xiaochen's afterimage, which disappeared along with his own force. This. What is going on? Tang Qianqi looked down at his own fist in bewilderment. Xiaochen clearly did not move just now. Where did the afterimage come from? Qianqi, he is behind you. Tang Qianling saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly shouted. I say, aren't your reactions a little too slow? You actually need someone to remind you. You are a complete piece of trash. Xiaochen stood behind Tang Qianqi and smiled. He stretched out a finger and lightly flicked the back of Tang Qianqi's head. Ouch! Tang Qianqi felt a strong impact and involuntarily cried out in pain. He was immediately sent flying into the cave of the demonic spider and smashed into pieces of the demonic spider's flesh. Tang Qianqi struggled to raise his head. The crowd saw that his face was covered in blood and his body was stained with the demonic spider's blood. A grayish color instantly spread throughout his body. Before he could make a sound, he collapsed to the ground and fainted. You are a level 1 demon, honorable? Jia Huiyan was shocked and stuttered as he looked at Xiaochen. Jia Huiyan's face was a little pale. If it was not for the weak ghost chi that Xiaochen released when he released the afterimage, he would not have been able to see through Xiaochen's strength. He did not expect this weak-looking fellow to be so powerful. Tang Qianling was also stunned for a moment. He then shook his head and said calmly, Young Master Yan, don't worry. I forgot to tell you that before we came here, Tang Yuansheng had just told me that he has already reached the peak of level 1 martial honorable. I will definitely help you win the grand competition. Ha ha ha. Jia Huiyan's gloomy face immediately brightened up. He laughed a few times and said, Jia Muzhen, I have really underestimated you. I did not expect you to find a level 1 demon honorable to help you. However, it's useless. Just wait for your death. Jia Huiyan was a little worried when he saw Xiaochen's strength. However, Tang Qianling's words made him feel a little relieved. Tang Yuansheng was the external help that the Tang family had sent to him. At this moment, he was naturally able to stand firm. Jia Muzhen, who had just felt proud, was suddenly shocked. He looked at Xiaochen worriedly. He wanted to say something but could not say it. Oh, the peak of level 1? I forgot to tell you that I have been beating peak martial honorables for more than 10 years. Didn't I just beat a peak martial honorable into a cave? I wonder if he is dead or not. Xiao Chen said casually. He did not care. After all, there was not much difference between a level 1 martial honorable and a level 1 martial honorable. At most, he would just need to put in some effort. Keep bragging. Forget it, young Master Yen, let's go first. However, Xiao Chen, remember, this matter is not over. We will see the results in the grand competition. Tang Qianling said and turned to leave. They were only martial kings, not martial honorables. Therefore, they were not a match for Xiao Chen. Naturally, they would not provoke him anymore. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.